Bonjour and welcome to Marie+One. I'm Marie and today's plus one is Karen Sanchez-Gonzalez. Hi Karen, how are you doing today?
Hi Marie, I'm doing good, and you?
Amazing, thank you. I'm so happy you're here and I'm gonna get to know you. For once, I know I always say that at the beginning of the episode, like we've been talking for a few minutes, but I've been like holding on to a couple questions I have. So would you like to introduce yourself for us in a few words?
Yes, that's going to be hard. My name is Karen Sanchez-Gonzalez, Latina Esquire. I am first generation attorney. My parents are from Mexico, Chihuahua, and I was raised in Albuquerque, so I guess I would consider myself a New Mexican at this point. And I've been here for the past maybe 15, 20 years of my life, and I'm currently working here locally as an attorney.
Nice. And so you were born in Chihuahua?
No, so I was born in El Paso, Texas.
Okay.
My parents were in Chihuahua. I did go to school there for about 7 years up until first grade, and then we moved to the United States.
Oh, I see. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So is your primary language Spanish?
Yeah, so that was my first language. When I moved to the United States, I didn't know anything about the language. So it was very difficult getting adjusted and learning something new. But of course, with time, it came and now I'm here.
Yeah. And so that's it. So that's so interesting. So you were 7 when you came here then, and you were going to school and having to learn a whole new language?
Yeah, so it was very intimidating. My parents decided that it was time for them to uproot and, give us a better life. They made that decision. And to this day, I'm really grateful. I know it was really difficult for them. So thankful to this day that they were able to do that. We moved to California. We were there for about 3 or 4 years. And I will say those are one of the most memorable days of my youth, and maybe not in a good way. Just because it was so hard. It was so hard adjusting to a new culture, learning a new language, and just navigating that education system without knowing. Without not knowing the language.
I can't imagine, because also, I mean, you're moving, so it's a complete different setup, like country, people, language. So, okay. So, do you have brothers and sisters?
I do. I have one younger brother. It's only 2 of us. He is 25 years old. He's my baby. We've always been so close from a very young age, and up till now, we're just super close.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I'm 30 years old. 30? Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I'm your big sister today. I'm 32. Yeah. I like being the big sister on the episode.
Good.
Okay. So and he's 25, so 7. So he kind of came around right when you guys or your parents decided to make the move. Do you think it had anything to do with that? Like with your parents decided to move Marie, deciding to move here, having your brother?
I think the biggest factor was that we were born in the U.S. So both of us, we were born in El Paso, Texas. And my parents at the time actually had family in the U.S. And my mom mentions that she got a call from my auntie who actually lived in the U.S. And she was like, hey, so what are your thoughts? Like, don't you think it's time that you guys uproot and give them a better opportunity in life? And I guess it got to her, and she decided that, it's right. Time. It's time.
Okay. So I want to go back to maybe before you were 7. How do you remember living in Chihuahua and the life in Mexico? I wanted to say both at the same time. It didn't work.
Yeah.
How was it?
It was very different at the time. Actually, my dad was very financially stable. So it was a very difficult decision for him because he had his business going there. They were well off. My mom didn't have to work. So it was a very different childhood. They had the financial means to, trips, toys, all that. And, I remember my education very vividly. It was I really enjoyed being there. So I had really good memories from living in Ciudad Juarez. And of course, once that change happened, a lot of things changed.
Yes. I'm glad you're saying that. And I want to emphasize that, for people born and raised in the U.S., there is there are other people living elsewhere in the world, a good life.
Yes.
And there's education. There's a lot of different things everywhere else than in the U.S. Because I feel like it's interesting sometimes. Because I was born in Belgium. I lived my first 26 years of my life in Belgium. I moved here 6 years ago, and sometimes people have a picture of like outside of the US, it's like third world countries, right? And it's like, no, we have cities, we have cars, we eat, and we go to school too. So when you were talking, I could just like picture it, and it's amazing because it's such a rich culture also that you're coming from. So when did you have a lot of friends over there?
I did. I remember having a lot of friends. There was always events going on. I remember there was parades, dances. I just have really good memories. And like I said, my dad, was working at the time, and I just knew we had a different life, and I was able to tell the difference. And like you mentioned, a lot of people think third world country, but no, we were actually very well off. So it was really hard for my parents to make that decision, because technically they were going from that life that we had to starting from zero.
Did they just sell it all off and just moved, or did you guys still have like some roots over there, or even your house? Or
so I know we kept the house for a while, I think, and then they sold it maybe like 10 years after we moved. So the house was still there, but his business, he co-owned the business with his brother, so his brother just kind of took over. And that's when we came here. I know around maybe the first year of us moving to California, it was so difficult for my dad that he actually decided that he was just going to go back.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, because I was going to say, if you say you were well off, like to me, I'm like, why move? But at the same time, it was probably then for you and your brother kind of to give you better or other opportunities, I'm assuming. So 6-7-year-old you, how did you take it that, and how did your parents, if you remember, how did your parents even tell you that you were going to move to another country?
See, that's interesting. I don't remember.
No?
I don't remember that part. But I do remember we started off in El Paso, where my mom started taking us to school there. So my mom moved there. It's the border to Juarez. So I remember there being for a couple months, maybe like a month or two. And, we would cross every weekend back to Juarez. My dad was still in Juarez, but it just became difficult. Obviously, maybe the finances didn't translate. I honestly don't know exactly what happened. So that's where, they decided to take the leap and move with my auntie. They thought maybe we have financial support there, or just family support, and help us start from fresh.
Did your mom ever tell you, because you were saying that she wasn't working, did your mom mention how the transition worked for her? Did she all of a sudden also have to work to provide for you guys? And how did that all go?
Yeah, so she had to start working, right? And so did my dad. And, as I mentioned briefly, at one point where my dad just got frustrated because he had to start working in construction. He's never worked construction in his life. He was a truck driver. He had semis. So that was a very difficult transition for him, from being his own boss to starting a new field and just doing that. And again, my mom had to work as well. So the shift went from my mom being a full stay-at-home mom to having to figure out how we got to school. At some point, it was just me and my brother. I remember having to take care of him because of my parents' shifts. So it was a different transition. I know to this day, and it gets me a little emotional, my mom never stopped apologizing because she feels so bad. She's like, I left you guys alone so much when you were little. But I tell her, it was a sacrifice that you had to make. And I'm grateful to this day that you did.
I understand her apologizing and feeling bad. It's so hard because do you have children?
No.
I have a little boy. He's going to be 2 tomorrow. Well, when you see the episode, he's already 2. But for us, he's going to be 2 tomorrow. And It's so hard. It's so hard even when, you know, you just want to pursue things. Because, like, see, right now I have a full-time job, and then I try to pursue the podcast and, you know, life. It's like, you know, like right now we're recording on a Sunday, and, you know, he's home with my husband, which is amazing. He's with his dad. But, you know, it's like, oh, if I want to pursue a side career or anything on the side, it's like, hey, you have to do it after hours or on the weekends. And those are hours that I'm supposed to do it with him. But then in her case, in your parents' case, it's even beyond that. It's working, and I'm sure even working extra just to be able to provide a life for you and your brother. And I see that also with my husband's mom. She was a single mom raising my husband and his brother, and she had to work 60 hours a week, and so have like people taking care of them, like from waking up and taking them to school to, you know, after school they would kind of take care of themselves. But you know, it's like I never really got to talk to her about that, but I have a feeling that she regrets not being there. And she actually mentioned to my husband that, you know, she wants to be here for our son because she feels like she missed events and sports, like events for, you know, with them, because she had to work. But also it wasn't really a choice. It was, she had to work because she had to put food on the table and pay the bills and all that. So so I'm so sorry for your mom, because I think and I feel like it's especially stronger with Hispanic cultures. Not to say like especially Mexicans, but Mexican culture is like so how do you say that in English, like down spoken about, or I don't know if it makes sense, like talked bad about, and and also nobody is like really emphasizing how hard it is to move from one country to another and start fresh. Well, start from zero, not even fresh, but like from zero, and then be back at the bottom of the ladder and having to fight your way back up, and not just trying to get help, but actually working to get where you want to be. And so so man, we say in French, we say chapeau, so like you take your hat off for people to kind of like, you know, say that they're it's impressive what they did, and I want to do that for your parents, and for you too, because you were there to help. You were there as young as you were to help take care of your brother. And so okay. Was it easy for you to make friends, especially when you first got there, tried to learn the language? How did you feel at that time?
No, so I have this specific story that goes along with your question that I remember, and I think I will never forget. My cousin actually went to that same school, so I was able to go with him. He was already, you know, he's been there. Nice. He knew the language, so you know, they're so like, make sure,
someone there you knew. Okay.
Make sure you take care of her. So I remember my first day. You know, I went with him. We got on the bus and everything, and it came around lunchtime. And the way the cafeteria was set up, it's like you would get your tray, you would sit down, and then apparently you couldn't get up until they released you. Oh. So okay. I remember like I had my tray, and my cousin was in a different classroom. So like I was there by myself, and I remember I got my tray and I get up to like go throw my plate in the trash, and I just remember being yelled at by this lady, like, and I don't know what she's saying.
Right. Okay.
And apparently telling me to sit down and get back in my seat. And I remember my cousin having to come grab me and like, hey, no, like you can't get up. Like you have to stay in your seat until you get released. So it was a lot of that. You know, it was a lot of, I don't know what you're telling me. I feel so overwhelmed. I don't know what's going on. So it was difficult. It was difficult. And I do remember too, I had some teachers that didn't want me in their classroom because they didn't want to take the time to teach me the language along with the rest of the students. So it was a struggle. I do remember that first year just being difficult.
That's terrible, because I feel like teachers especially, they have a role of, you remember them for the rest of your life. Even if sometimes you don't remember their names, you remember the impact they had on you, right? And the things they said, and either if they cared or not. And so that's terrible, because you're with them so many hours in the day, you would think they would just try to protect you and and push you up and be like, hey, that, we're glad you're here and let's teach you all everything together. So I'm so sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah. And I guess the most frustrating thing was that I was actually more ahead in Mexico, the education. So when I came to the US, the math that we were doing and everything, I already knew it, but it was just that language barrier. I just needed someone to, translate or, help me. But in everything else, I was more advanced than the grade I was in. It was just the language that was setting me back.
Ah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
So did you have like a group of friends at that point that you were able to get and like that would help you, or were you more like a loner in school?
I think I was more of a loner, especially that first year. It did help that, I had my cousin. So even though we were in the same class, I remember, recess and everything, I would get to hang out with him. So that was helpful. So I think it was just the first year, trying to get adjusted. It was a predominantly white school, so there wasn't really any Hispanic kids or anything like that. So it was mostly me and my cousin.
Yes. Okay. And were there like Spanish classes?
No.
No? Oh, no, for real. I was like, oh man, you could have been like, at least there, like, you were the teacher.
Yeah. No.
It's funny because for us in Belgium, we do get so many different languages. I'm actually interested to ask you about Mexico and Mexico. I keep wanting to say it like both at the same time. It's ridiculous. So like for us, it starts really early because the main languages in Belgium are French, Dutch, and English. And French, Dutch, and German. And so you start, it's not the same grade system in Belgium than it is here. So in Belgium, you have the three, what we call the maternelle, that's like, I want to say pre-K.
Okay.
Comparably. And then you have, it's like 1 through 6. And then 1 through 6 again. And that second 1 through 6 is high school. And so that first 1 through 6 is, I don't know what you would compare it in here. But so it's 12 years total, right? But you have the 1 through 6, that's le primaire. That's like first thing. And then after you move to high school, and that's 1 through 6. And so where was I going with this? Oh, yeah. So when you start the first, you automatically have French and Dutch classes, and then when you move to high school you have French, Dutch, English, and you can choose a fourth language, which is either German or Spanish.
Oh wow.
And I chose German, and then I didn't know that I would eventually move to New Mexico because otherwise I would have chosen Spanish. But you know what, I think at the time everybody was choosing Spanish, so that class was like super crowded, and in German, the German class, there was only like 4 students. So I was like, I am going there. I was getting I was like,
No, I don't blame you.
So how is it in Mexico? Do you guys are like pushed to learn or know more languages?
When I was in school, no. We weren't pushed to learn any languages. Spanish was the main focus.
Okay.
But I do think, everything else was more advanced, science, math, and everything else. But yeah, I've heard that from Europe where people are encouraged to learn different languages. And I'm like, I can't believe the U.S. doesn't do that.
I know. I'm so shocked too. You would think, but the thing though too with Europe is that yes, we're pushed to, but the language classes in school are always super basic, and that's the frustration. But the good thing is that I feel like most of us, or at least everybody I know from Europe, it pushes you enough to learn those also on the side and push your learning through, reading books and kind of like do it outside of school. But the school system, you don't get out of the school system bilingual and like fully in another language, unfortunately. But which you would think, like, especially when you spend like 12 years total learning like Dutch, you would think that you would be bilingual Dutch when you get out of school. But no, but for me, like my parents, because we're French speaking, but we lived in Brussels, and in Brussels you have to speak both French and Dutch. They always push me, so all my student jobs were in Dutch. And so at first, kind of like you, I was lost. And I was like, oh wait, this is a new language. But then of course, like, little by little you learn. But okay, so what did you like to do when you were younger? Did you have any hobbies, any things you would do outside of school?
I don't remember having any hobbies. I do remember we lived next to California has like the big parade once a year. I don't know if you heard of it. Oh gosh, I can't think of the name right now. It's like a float. But anyways, it's like floats.
If you know, put it in the comments.
Yes, something with rose,
Okay.
Rose Bowl. I don't know. I'm not even going to try to make it up right now. But the thing is, they make floats out of flowers. So I remember that there was a shop right by our house. Every time we would get out of the bus, we would walk to that to that shop where they would make the boats, or whatever they're called, the floats. And after the parade, like, you would be able to go and pick like the flowers and take them home from the float. So that was really cool that we would get to do. Yeah.
It's funny you say that, because it brings me back to when I was young. Like, they always ask you, what do you want to become when you're older? And I always said, I didn't always say, but at some point I was like, I want to be a hairdresser, but a florist and a jewelry maker or seller, because I want to put flowers and jewelry in people's hair.
Oh my gosh.
And so when you said the flowers, I was like, oh my God, yes, that would look so beautiful. What did you want to become when you were a little girl?
Gosh, I don't think I had anything in mind. I think as I got older, I thought I wanted to get into politics, or who knows, maybe I will, but not right now. I thought I wanted to get into politics, but I don't think I ever had like a career in mind. I don't think I ever knew what college was, or, especially as a young girl. I don't think we had an idea of that, and especially because that wasn't my environment. That wasn't my surroundings. So it wasn't until I got older that, I started to mingle with different people, and that's where I started, brainstorming what I wanted to do.
Okay, so I'm trying to, retrace. So you moved to first El Paso, and then what made you guys move to California?
I would say the support.
Okay. Did you have family in California?
Yeah, so we had family there, and I know at the time they were buying a house, if I'm not mistaken. So the house that they were living in before, they were putting it up for rent. And of course, my mom, being my aunt's sister, she was like, I'm not going to pay you, like, charge you rent, like, just pay the mortgage, and, we'll help you out. So they took it. Okay. So they were like, we have system here, as well as my uncle. He worked in construction. So he was like, we have a job for my dad.
Yeah.
So it was pretty much the connections, I would say, and the support system.
Nice. And so, okay. And when in that timeline, when did your dad go back? Did he go back pretty early on, or?
Yeah, so I believe it was very early on, maybe within the first year. And the way my mom mentions it, right, she was like, he had asked her, like, hey, we need to move back. Like, I don't like this. This is not for me. We need to move back. And my mom, being the strong woman that she is, said, no, you move. You move. I'm staying here with the kids. Like, you go ahead and leave. And I think my dad just thought my mom was going to follow him. Like, maybe he just thought that she was just saying, just to say it. But no, he left. And my mom was like, no, I'm staying. And she stayed. And I think it was maybe like 3 months where he realized that my mom wasn't moving. He moved back.
Oh, he moved back again with you guys? Okay.
Yeah, no, he moved back.
Okay. And, okay, cool. And so did he end up staying for good, or? Yeah. With you guys? Okay, good. Okay. Yeah. So it was like hey, actually, I cannot live without you.
Yeah. And he realized my mom wasn't moving. So he was like, no, I'm moving back.
Nice. What did your mom end up doing?
I know she worked at a clothing like factory, like where they would tag like the clothes, like for TJ Maxx, Ross, and all those things. I know that's what she did.
Nice. Okay. You moved to California, and so when did you move to New Mexico?
Maybe 3 years after moving to California. And my parents slowly started to realize that even though we had the support from family up there, California was too expensive. It was just, they couldn't afford to live there. It was a day-to-day, paycheck to paycheck. And at the time, we had another auntie who had actually moved to Albuquerque, who had just bought a house and, had a job. And she was like, hey, like, the houses are super affordable. Like, there's jobs here. Like, why don't you guys come on down, live with us for a bit until you guys get established, and then go from there. And I think that was a no-brainer for my parents.
Oh, yes.
They were like, okay, we already did it once. Yeah. Why can't we do it again?
Yes. See, it's funny because that's what we were talking about with my husband too, because since I moved, I left everything in Belgium and I moved here. For us, it's like we wouldn't be scared to move again anywhere. Yeah. And it's like, I did it once and it's scary, but it's actually not that scary, and it's fun if you see it that way. And so, I can see that, like being like, okay, we tried it here and it's fun, it's nice, but let's try and see, not if the grass is greener in Albuquerque, because it is not. No. But, okay, that sounds fun. And it's funny because then I guess you went to a school in Texas, in California, and then you moved to New Mexico. Did you kind of see like a difference, and how would you compare the schools, and if it's comparable, or is there like one that you felt more comfortable in than another?
I mean, I would think the one here in Albuquerque, just because by that time I already knew English. I could get by. So it was easier to adjust at the time, even though I was backtracked a little bit because one, I was moving schools, and then English being my second language, they had to put me in ESL classes. I had to pass a test in elementary school in order for me to just be able to take normal, English classes. So it kind of backtracked me a little bit, just that transfer, because I know, for example, my brother, he pretty much got the whole experience here in the U.S. So it was very different than what I had to go through. And, he was in a gifted program. Like, he had all these different things. But because of my language barrier and the different moves that I had other pieces setting me back. And I didn't have the same opportunities that he did.
Yeah, it's interesting because even like you guys are 6 years?
5 years,
apart. Yeah. Even that little age difference, which is not like little or not little, I don't know, because I have three brothers and three sisters, and the sister that just follows me is like 4 years apart. But I'm just thinking too, in terms of my life, I've been here 6 years. It feels like forever, and it also feels like it was yesterday at the same time. And I'm like, 6 or 5 years is a long time, but it's also like when you look at history, it's like it's fast. So, but at the same time, look at you both. It's like you guys had complete different experiences, and especially because for him, of course, it was like learning English right off the bat.
Yeah.
So it was probably much easier. But he also, on the other hand, he didn't know the life in Mexico.
Right.
Either.
Right.
So, okay.
So, he definitely... So
you carried the heritage.
Yes. Yeah, he had a very different experience. And I know when we started school here, right? And like I said, I had to be backtracked, put in ESL classes, take those tests. And then eventually I was transferred into the normal program. Normal, quotation marks.
Right. That's terrible.
Yeah. So... Whereas my brother, like I said, I know he was immediately able to test into like gifted, had different teachers, had a different education. So even though it's a small gap, there was big difference. And I think he would say the same.
So you said, that's 7. And how old were you when you moved in Albuquerque? Like,
I was probably 9, 10. I think I started in 5th grade.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was 5th grade.
Okay.
So I did the 1 year in elementary and then transferred over to middle school.
And so at that point, were you more like an introvert, an extrovert?
I was more of an extrovert. And I think once, I went to middle school, I just started developing. But I think it was more of elementary school that I was more reserved, and maybe because of everything that I was going through.
Right.
But as the year started to develop, I opened up more and was more out there.
And you're like, I know this language now.
I'm like, you can't tell me nothing.
Let's rock this. Nice. Yeah. Okay, I see. Did you do, and at that point, did you do any after school activities or sports or music or instrument, anything?
No, so it was very difficult because at that time period, my parents were trying to get adjusted here. So a lot of it was me having to get my brother ready in the morning for school. We would take the bus together, go to school, and then same thing, we would get out of school, and both of my parents were still working at the time. So yeah, it was a lot of
sister duty. And how were your parents doing with English?
It was difficult for them. I know my dad, he actually, when he was younger, went to school in Chicago, grade school. So he picked up English, but as he moved back to Mexico, he lost it. So he could understand, but he was trying to pick it up. But again, it was just bare minimum, could get by. My mom didn't know anything at all. But over the time, she started picking up a little bit. Nice. She's not fluent, but she knows how to get by.
That's good, because it made me think, I think she was episode 7, Mirasol Contreras. Her parents are deaf and mute, and she is not. And so when they moved, from Philippine, she had to do the translation and help them and go to medical appointments. So she kind of missed a part of her childhood too, because she had to just be there all the time and be that support system for them. So I mean, it's different because of course your parents, they hear and they can talk, but I feel like it's also a complete different.
It was the same.
Oh, there
translator. Yeah, it's like out of 7, 8, 9 years old, you're translating legal documents. I'm like, I don't even know what they mean.
Right.
And I do remember my mom, she would be like, then why do you go to school for? Like, what are they teaching you? And it's like, I don't think she understood.
Well, you can go with me.
The complexity of translating legal documents, or especially as a 9, 10-year-old.
Oh, yes.
It's like, so... maybe I was in the same experience
as Mirasol,
as Marisol, but we had to translate.
Similar.
Yeah,
that's crazy. And well, you had to grow up fast.
Yes, very fast.
Did that impact your relationships and your friendships and all that good stuff? Do you feel like you missed out a little bit because of it?
I think so. I think if I look back, I wish I would have had more of a childhood. Like you said, I was forced to grow up fast because of the circumstances I was born in. But in another way, I think that's what pushed me to be who I am today because of everything that I had to go through. And, I had to grow to be more independent. I had to grow to be more outspoken. So it was a lot of things from a very young age that now I cherish and part of my personality. But, sometimes when you look back, you're like, gosh, I wish I could have been more of a child, right? I wish I didn't have to worry about those things at a very young age.
I feel the same in different ways, because for me, like, my parents had me and my 2 sisters, and they were not married, but they separated, and my dad went to marry my stepmother. He had 3 children with her, and my mom had multiple partners, but she had a little boy with one of them, and but we were going left and right, and I always had to be the second parent, the second mom, the second whatever, because I was just taking care of everybody. And kind of like you, but I mean, you had one brother, it doesn't make it any easier. I had 3 brothers and 3 sisters, but it was like,
wow, big family.
Yes. And it was like dropping them to school before me going to school, like dropping them to daycare and then to elementary school, and me going to high school, and then getting to school like sweaty and red, and everybody would make fun of me. I was bullied, but it's the way it is. And I didn't fit in because I had to grow fast too. And so all the stupid crap they would talk about and laugh about, I was just like, I don't have time for this.
Yes. If only you knew what happened before this.
And after school, we were almost like timed by my dad, because I needed to pick up my brothers and sisters, go back home, and then it was like doing homework, helping with dinner and laundry and cleaning, and then go to bed, and then it was back to a new day again. So I didn't have time to like socialize or laugh after school, or it was just like, always on the go. And so to a certain extent, I do have a little resentment, because I'm just like, man, sometimes I wish I was part of those groups and, you know, I would be part of those pictures and, you know, and I would have been allowed to even like, please don't smoke, but I don't smoke, I don't drink, but be like part of the making mistake group, you know, and be like, oh my God, yes, I did that too, and have the crazy stories to tell your grandchildren someday. But at the same time, I don't, because it also, like you said, makes me who I am today. And I was the big sister that was like the example for everybody. And in a way, I wasn't allowed to make any mistakes because I knew that I was the example for the rest, which is funny because then at the same time, because I was the perfect big sister, like the rest were like, oh, that's fine, we'll make all the mistakes that you didn't.
Yes. And you didn't get the same grace as they did. No.
That's the worst part. You didn't do any mistakes, but still you got all the crap. And they made all this stuff, and it's like, oh, but it's okay, you know, I'll talk to them. And it's like, oh, well, you didn't talk to me.
Right. I didn't get that same treatment. No, I completely understand that.
But see, so, you know, it's like you have some regret, but at the same time, it's like, it's okay. It's who I am, and it's part of who I am. And yeah, now you move on to how am I going to raise my own child? Right.
You know, so. And I think a lot of it too is just realizing that your parents did the best they could with what they had at the time. And it's hard sometimes to wrap your head around it, right? You have that resentment and you're like, but it's like they did the best they could. I'm sure if they could have had it a different way, they would have, but unfortunately that's the cards that were dealt to us. So
yes,
we had to make it work.
And so you were mentioning earlier your mom apologizing. I know we grow, and you know, like you said, we take a step back and we realize that our parents actually were or are still, but like human beings, and that, you know, they were also allowed to make their own mistakes and grow. But at the time, I know when I was a child, you see your parents as just that, your parents, and they're supposed to be there for you and protect you and be good parents. But with your mom apologizing and stuff when you were younger, or even if, I don't know if there's a difference between when you were younger and now, how you see it, but were you ever mad at them for putting you through all that?
Yeah, I think there was a period where I held some resentment. Again, it was like, it was your job to protect me. Like, you were the parent. Why did I have to parent? You know, why did I have to be there for you when you were going through marital problems? Like, I'm not your counselor. I wasn't your financial advisor. I wasn't your translator. I wasn't your attorney. Why did I have to go through this? But, you know, as you said, as you get older, and especially with, you know, both, not just my mom, both of my parents, you know, they constantly apologize, and I could tell they honestly feel bad. They do. So it's hard. I think I eventually just let that go and realize that that's all they could do at the time.
You know what I'm actually realizing talking to you is that I wonder if whenever your parents do that, they take you, like you just said, as like their accountant and a therapist and all that good stuff, lawyer and stuff, translator. I wonder if it's because we were their support system in a way. Because, I mean, I come from a big family, but like really on a daily life, we didn't really get a lot of help, because, I mean, there were all like 8 of us, right? Like the 6 children, the 2 parents. So it's 6 children. It's really complicated to say, hey, just drop the kids home, drop the kids and go have a date night. You know what I mean? It's like, so, and sometimes even 1 or 2, because I see that right now. My family is in Belgium. My husband's family is here, but they work a lot. And so I'm sure they would want to be here for us more. And they are like the best they can. But most of the time, it's just my husband and me. So it's like we're our own support system. And I wonder if to some extent, that's why our parents kind of had us do all that, because who else?
Well, and at the same time, I think, you know, I don't know if you relate to this, but it's like they saw us mature at a very young age. And even to this day, my mom says, you know, you've always been more mature. Like, you've always known what you wanted. You're always been so sure of yourself. So it's like they took that security, and without them realizing that, but hey, we're still a child. Like, yes, we're these things, but we're still your children.
I relate to that completely.
Yeah.
Completely. And even, but to a point where sometimes I think my dad especially just pushed me too hard, in the sense that he would, just like tell me things that I think at the time I wasn't ready to hear, or even things about like my physique, or like, and then after, like years after, it was like, yeah, but I knew you were tough, and I knew you could take it, and I knew that you maybe if I said that, then you would change. And it's like, yeah, but no, I was 12. You know, don't tell me I'm fat at 12. And I wasn't even fat, but it's not the point. Not, but so it's like things that you're like, like you realize afterwards that you're like, okay, I'm grateful, because again, it made me who I am. And at the same time, like I was I moved here like by myself. I did all the like everything, the paperwork. I didn't need anybody's help. Like all my immigration I just finished. I'm actually now a US citizen.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a long journey. But same, like I didn't ask any like help, and I feel like it's also because I had the confidence that was put into me. Because when we're younger, it's like there's no question, can I do this? Can I help? Can I make food? Like I have so many like crazy funny stories too. Like when I went to my mom's, we were at my mom's, and I had to make food for my brothers and sisters, for my sisters, and I don't even know how old I was, maybe 12 or 13, and I was cooking a meat, and I would just put salt every time I turned the meat. But believe me, I turned that meat a lot of times. So
a very salty meat.
And I saw, they were like, what the hell is going on? And then I tried, and I was like, oh, this is disgusting. Sorry. Or, like you eat the Frosties with like the sugar that you add.
Right.
And I instead of putting the sugar, I put the salt on the table. And they were like, hey, this doesn't taste like like it's supposed to. You laugh about it later on, but it's like, it's the little things that even though you made a mistake, you were confident making that mistake and thinking you can do it. So I'm like, I can do anything, right?
Yes, like I'll fix it. I'll get it done.
Yes. So after, okay. So did you have any class in school that you felt more like attracted to, or that you preferred?
So it wasn't until elementary school that I felt that that's where I guess thrived. I was in a really awesome program, a bilingual program. Okay. So, half of my classes were in Spanish, and then the other half were in English. So even it was math and science were in Spanish. And to this day, I still keep touch with my teachers from that period. So it was a very different experience. The teachers I had there, I could tell they cared about their students. They pushed you to be the best version of yourselves. So it was a totally, completely experience. So I really enjoyed being there and just, taking it all in. And I remember one of my teachers actually had a classroom full of animals. Like he had snakes, guinea pigs, mice, you name them.
Wow.
So one of the things that we would do is we would stay after school in the after school program and help him take care of the animals and things like that. So it was a very different experience.
That's so nice. And I love that there are programs like that, bilingual, because I feel like having a Spanish class or having a class taught in Spanish is completely different.
Yeah.
Because you have so much more like, how do you say that? How would I translate that? Like knowledge of like the little expressions and word that, some people use in a daily life of you talking or speaking a language, then you don't get in a class where you just literally translate and learn like word by word, things word by word. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's funny because you mentioned math and science a couple times. I feel like you were like more like a math person.
I was.
But despite all that, I know, I think our audience too, but not fully yet, that you're more in the how do you say that in English? We say littéraire in French. So like
we're in the legal field.
In legal field, yeah. So that's interesting. When did that shift happen?
So it wasn't. So I was, like you said, I was really good at math and science, and in middle school, and I think a lot of it had to do with my teachers and everything. But once I did that transition from middle school to high school, math just went out the window. Like I could not understand it to save my life.
Okay.
And I will say this, part of it was probably because I would fall asleep in my math class most of the time. I don't know why I was so tired. So yeah, I just didn't make sense to me anymore. And then that's where I started getting into government classes. And that's when I was like, oh, maybe I want to be a politician. And that's where I was like, maybe I should major in political science. But at that time, I didn't. I wanted to be an attorney yet.
Okay. Yeah. And what did you end up majoring in political science? Oh,
yeah. So I did a double major. I did a Spanish and political science, my bachelor's degree. Wow. Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Thank you. And it wasn't until my senior year that I decided I wanted to go to law school. And I think one of the reasons that I got pushed to do that was because I felt like my bachelor's degree was like an appetizer. I felt like I hadn't learned enough.
Okay.
Like I felt like unprepared to go out to the real world. I was like, what am I supposed to do now? And it just, I don't know why. Law school just seemed like the natural thing.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? Law school. And I applied and it just all worked out after that.
Okay, nice. And so what are your degrees?
Yeah, so I have my bachelor's in political science and Spanish, and then I have my Juris Doctor from law school.
Nice. And like you said, first generation?
Yeah, first generation.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure your parents were really proud of you.
I would hope so. No, they are.
Are they still here and together today?
Yes. So they're here in Albuquerque. So when I moved to, well, let me backtrack. I went to undergrad at Eastern New Mexico University. So it's Portales, small little town there. So first of all, I was the first one in my immediate family to go to college and the first one to move out of the home. If you guys know anything about the Hispanic culture, usually women don't move out until they get married. So
okay.
It was maybe shocking and not so shocking at the same time because my mom, she knew from a very young age I had a very strong personality. And from a very young age, I would always tell her, I'm going to move out when I'm 18. I'm going to move out when I'm 18. So I moved and they stayed here. I did my undergrad there. And then I eventually ended up moving to Illinois to finish my Juris Doctorate.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's really impressive. And then on top of it, moving out and doing that because I mean, I have no doubt it was, you aced it and you make it sound really easy, but I know, I'm sure it wasn't. So how was that experience? All of a sudden leave the home and be by yourself?
Oh my gosh, it was so difficult. I still remember when my parents dropped me off at the dorms, right? They helped me move in. Again, this is our first experience, so we don't even know how college works. We don't know anything about the program. And I remember my parents just helped me set up and they're like, okay, like we're going to leave, and I remember, everybody was crying. It was very difficult and they left. And then I remember that first day, I think it was like orientation week or something. It was actually family day and I had no idea. Like I didn't know parents stayed and they're having like a barbecue and everything. And I was just so sad. Because I'm like, why did my parents stay? And I didn't know anyone. So it was just a lot of tears. The first couple days, just to get adjusted. And it was just, I was, kind of regretting my decision. I'm like, maybe I should have just stayed home. Like, I don't know why I moved here. So it was very lonely. Yeah.
But I'm glad you pushed because it was for a moment, even though at that time, I'm sure it felt like forever.
Yeah.
And everything in life is most of the time for a moment. But it's hard to realize that when you're deep into it, like the deep terrible 2 right now.
Your baby.
Yes. We're trying to think that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Okay. I'm trying to picture like how many years or month were you like in Portales and then did you move to Illinois and then did you move right back here or did you eventually like think, oh, maybe I'll stay in Illinois or even like move somewhere else, or in your head it was always clear that you were going to go back to Albuquerque?
Yeah, so I was 4 years in Portales, New Mexico, my 4-year degree.
Okay.
And then after, I was done with that, I actually was planning to attend law school here at UNM. That was just seemed the right thing for me. I wanted to be back home with my family. I was ready to move back. But unfortunately, they didn't accept me at the law school here. Yeah.
They have to accept you?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's like an admissions thing. You have to take a test. It's a whole thing, a whole committee.
I didn't know.
Yeah, you could get waitlisted, not accepted. So I wasn't accepted until law school here. And I remember my mom telling me, like, hey, just wait a year. Like, just take a break, wait a year, and try to apply again next year. Like, maybe you'll get in next year. And in my head, I was like, I already know. If I take a break, I'm not going back. Like, I need to just get it done. I'm fresh out of school, need to get it done.
Yes.
So the second option, were all these different schools that I had to apply to. I know one of them was like in Houston, California, and then Illinois, where I ended up at. But the one at Illinois had offered me the most scholarships, and it was the most affordable.
Heck yeah.
So it just seemed,
out.
it just seemed like the right thing for me to do. I'm like, I already did it once. I could do it again.
Yes. That's crazy. I'm so shocked because I did 3 first years of law school in Belgium.
Oh wow!
But the thing is, I didn't have that any time to study. I was home trying to help, same thing. And I have a really good memory. So I try to, if I paid attention in class and, I reread the books like 1, 2, 3 times, I was good. But law school, it didn't work.
It's a different ball game. It's very different.
Yes. So I failed the first year 1 time, twice, and then after 3 times I was like, all right, I think it's not working.
Yeah.
And so I completely redirected myself, and at that point I was about to be in my sister's class, because then skipping all those years, I was just like, okay, no. And so I ended up going and doing management assistant, which I hate being behind a desk. So, but I was like, I need to find something that is going to give me a bachelor that has a good rate. They were saying that there's a 99%. They say they have a 99% success of you having a job in the 3 months after your degree. And I was like, sure. And sure enough, after my bachelor, I graduated June 27, and July 1st, I was working at P&G. So, it's like...
Oh my gosh, my husband works for Procter & Gamble.
Oh, yes? For real?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What a small world.
Right? Yeah. And funny enough, I wasn't good in math, but when I applied at P&G, it was for a management assistant position. But then I passed the test and I nailed the test. I'm so proud of that.
I heard it's a difficult one.
Yeah, so I was like, oh heck yeah, I'm super good at logical stuff and la la la. And it was it was a really cool test actually. It was a different, you had math, logic, and then kind of more a literature, a written test. And apparently I did really well. And so, but then they were like, well, it would be a shame for us to just terminate you there, because the thing is they filled that position inside P&G after all. But they were like, hey, there's this budget expert position open if you want to take it. But mind you, during my whole bachelor years, my accounting teacher was sick. So I had 0 class of accounting.
Gosh.
And so I was like, yes, I could do it. But in my head, I was freaking out.
Yes.
I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to do this. But I'm a really fast learner. And, and I was dedicated to be this is an opportunity to not actually just go get, that's so stereotypical, but to go get coffee and type notes and stuff. And that, which was my bachelor, but I really didn't want to do that. So I was like, oh my God, this is a message from another universe. And so I ended up doing that. It was super hard, but I worked there 2 years, and then I ended up moving here and marrying my husband. But I wanted to go back and did you have any student jobs that you did?
Yeah. So in undergrad, I was a rec leader. So it was an after school program for little kids.
Okay.
So right after, I was done with my classes, It was about 3 hours. We would do that. We had like programs for the kids. We would go pick them up from school, arts and crafts, sports, anything like that. It was a 3-hour job. I did that for about 1 year. And then I eventually started working at the vice president's office. So like a receptionist. And I did that until I finished my career at Eastern New Mexico.
Oh, heck yeah. That's nice. That's so much more glamorous than I worked at fast food restaurant.
Oh, I did too. So before that, I was not always at a desk job.
Okay.
In high school, I worked at Dairy Queen, and then I also did Blake's Lotaburger.
Oh, fun.
Yeah,
okay.
So I did those two.
Nice. And see, it's funny because then, like for me, like I started super early on. We have like a market, and it's still there in my town every Sunday. And so there's like a chicken booth, and you sell like cooked chicken and potatoes, ribs, so good stuff like that. But so it's like you work from like 6 to 2, and I did that. I started when I was 15, and almost all the way till I moved here. I did it for like a good, I think, 8 or 9 years. Every Sunday, going to sell chicken, and it was fun though. I love customer service. And so I loved it. It was really dirty, but
yes, very greasy.
But it was so much fun though. And it's funny you talked about politics. Did you get involved at some point?
No.
I
mean, I volunteered at a presidential campaign at the time, but that was the extent. I think by the time, like I said, that I was going to graduate and I looked at the career options, one, I didn't realize that it was all seasonal, just based on the politician, right? So it's like you could follow a politician and work for them whatever 1-2 years, however long their campaign is, and then you would have to find a new job. And then in addition, it didn't pay well. So I was like, I don't know. I was like, that doesn't.
Yeah, you would think it would actually pay better, but I guess not. Interesting.
Yeah.
I got involved in politics. That's why I was.
You did?
I love when you say that. Yeah. When I turned 18, I got involved in a political party over there, and I was on the list, and the first time I voted was actually for myself, which was pretty cool. And I got elected too.
Gosh.
So in Belgium, you have what I like to translate it as the social house, that we call, and it's an entity that helps people in need. So you don't have to be homeless, but if you're in need, like if it's hard for you to pay all your bills every month, or you need a job, or even you have one and you have a house but you can't pay your bills, then you go and you talk to a social worker. They build a case for you, and the social worker works on a solution, either for that entity to help you pay a bill, like just a one-time help, or either we help you find a job, or we help you like on a semi-long-term or long-term, depending. We also had students that would come and say, hey, my parents can't help pay for my studies, and so we would help them find a little studio for them to stay and help them pay the bills, but the condition was you have to go to school and you have to have your degree, stuff like that. So that whenever that social worker was done making the file for them and with a solution, it would go towards a council, and that's what I was part of. And so weekly we would review the cases and make a decision, either agree with the social worker or not agree. And we had to motivate that, or even invite the people in front of the council, because for some people we needed more explanation, or because we wanted to help them even more than what the social worker was offering. So it was a really interesting and emotional I want to say job, because I was paid for that too, but it was so interesting. And it was also hard because we had so many different meetings, because that was our main meeting was, the reviewing of the files and case files, but we had other meetings to handle the financial side of that entity, and we had to allocate funds to certain departments, or and kind of do all that, and then even the hiring processes for the social workers, for everything, like, everything was politically handled.
Yeah.
But around the table, we were all the different parties.
Wow.
Because here it's like you're either, well, there's more, but like the main parties are like, you know, left and right. And over there we have different. And so I was on the right side. I was blue, which is different because I think here it's like reversed, because I was kind of on the right side of the political grid. The party was called MR, so it's and then the red are the socialists. Okay. And so you have like a middle party that was like the colors are orange, and then you have the green, of course, for the ecologists, and then different parties. But so every time we would kind of like not fight but argue, right? And also regarding like what our own parties' like motivations were. But I was kind of always branching out, because for me, being like from the right side, yes, there was a lot of like meritocracy, and you had to like, you know, earn the help and stuff. But at the same time, you had to also be able to see the social part of it, and the help that people need, even if it's just a one-off. And you know, so yeah, it was interesting, so crazy to think about all those years. I feel like it was a lifetime ago. But all that to say, though, when you say that, I see the little spark in your eyes, and I'm like, maybe you're not done with politics. And I know you didn't start, but maybe you never know. Yeah, I never know. But as of now, no, it's not in the cards. It's not. And is it something that you secretly would wish for someday, or no, and you support or be part of a campaign but not be in the front of it? Yeah, maybe not the front of it. You know, it just seems too anxiety driven. Your life out in the public eye, and everything you do is questioned, and I don't know if I want that kind of restraint in my life, or you know, to be under the public eye in that way. So who knows, maybe I change my mind in the future, but as of now, that just doesn't appeal to me. I meet you there. I feel like it's so hard because I want to be part of the change. I have like strong convictions, and I want to help. But then, it's like, indeed, that the whole second part of that seems in certain cases to actually matter more than what you want to defend. That, you know, takes over, and kind of like sometimes even like something that you might have said in your past or might have done, that just going to take over that whatever you want to defend and actually bring to the table now, which is, it's difficult. And I also think that you bring your family into it, right? Like, I don't have kids right now, but if I had kids, it's like, I'm putting my kids under that spotlight. I'm putting my husband into that spotlight. And maybe I chose that path, but maybe they didn't. Right? That's right. So I think it's a hard decision. So I applaud anybody, you know, from any party who gets up there and is able to put their face for the people, because it's not easy. It's not easy. Yeah. And it is not. And I mean, I was young, but it's also, once you show yourself as a certain color, it's hard to get out of it. And in a sense, I don't regret it, but I regret that you have to show yourself as a certain color. For me, like, at the end of the day, I feel like I'm a utopist, or like a maybe naive too, in the sense that, to me, we should just all like fight for each other and defend, and just fight for a better life, right? And not just keep trying to blame people and find someone to blame, or someone, you know. And so that's also the part of politics that's like very frustrating to me, is that almost like to shine, you have to hit people, and to, you know, to make yourself look better, and that doesn't. And like you said, I think you start pushing away from the actual purpose, and it's more of, you know, who you get along with, or, you know, what you have to give up to get. And it's a lot of compromise. Yeah. And sometimes even your values. So it's a difficult position to be in. It is. And see, like I was telling you, I was being paid for that. I was being paid per meeting. I was being paid €125, that the meeting lasted 5 minutes or 6 hours. Oh, wow. And so some lasted 5 minutes. Yeah. And so at some point we had a budget, right, to help people. And at some point, I think it was like we still had like 2-3 months to go through the year, through the fiscal year, before the new budget kicked in, but we were already out of budget to help people. Yeah. So basically we couldn't help anybody else. And I was like, hey, maybe we could reduce our income.
Yeah.
It's called a jeton de présence. It doesn't mean anything, but I can't think of we can reduce our amount per meeting. Yeah. Because I mean, you know, we all had jobs. I mean, we all had jobs on the side. So I mean, yes, it's a good income. It sounds ridiculous to you know, come out with that idea, but at the time I was like, no, we need to help those people. So if we reduce our income, then we can put that back into the budget and help. You know, that's what we're here for.
Yeah. Right? That makes the most sense.
Yes, and I was the only one voting for that, because I actually, because you as a member, we could like put I'm sorry, I can't think right now. We could I would put that on the table for a vote at the main meeting, and even in my party, nobody followed me, and I was just the only one that voted for it, and everybody was like, haha, no. Yeah. But I was like, what are you in politics for? What are you here? Because especially like I was elected into that, because of course then you have the town meeting, you have all these other entities, but I was voting into that, and I was like dedicated to help. Right. And so, you know, no matter what color you have, it's like, oh no, so we're just gonna keep coming just for the money and not help for the next 2-3 months. Oh yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, let's do that then. And that was so frustrating to me. And that's why to this day, like my dad keeps saying that if I stayed in Belgium, I would probably be like on a way higher level in politics right now. And I could actually maybe make a difference. But at the same time, I'm also glad I moved, because I don't know if that's who I wanted to be. Yeah. I want to help, but not in, at the cost of
your values.
Yes, thank you. That's exactly that. So, okay. So you never know. Maybe we'll see in the future.
We'll see what the future holds.
Right. But when did it come to you that you wanted to be part of the legal system?
So I think, you know, one, like, as I mentioned, my undergrad education, I felt like I was meant for more. Okay. And I think the second part of it was seeing the injustices that my parents went through and feeling frustrated that my hands were tied, that I couldn't do anything about it, that I didn't know the system. And it just seemed like the natural thing for me to do. It's like I never, ever would want my parents or my family or, you know, anyone to ever have to go through that and navigate a system they don't know. So that was just a natural choice for me. I said, I have to do it.
Nice. And when you say what your parents went through, can you go into more details with that? Yeah.
So, you know, as I mentioned to you, we came to the U.S., but my parents came to the U.S. on a tourist visa. So they weren't legally here, quote unquote. And, you know, once, you know, they got here, they overstayed their tourist visa, and that was just what they had to do for us to be here. Now, my auntie had petitioned for them to come here legally, but they had done that, I think, when I was born at 1995. Okay. So even, you know, years later, like their date hadn't approached for them to come here legally. So that was just the normal thing for them to do. It's like, we have to do that sacrifice. So they were here. And at one point, my dad actually ended up being deported. And I know it's a very hot topic right now with everything going on.
But if that's okay with you, for you to talk about this, I'm super interested.
Yeah, so my dad was actually deported. His visa, his tourist visa, was still active at the time, but the officer never allowed him to show it or anything like that. They just kind of took him. Yeah. And it was just so frustrating. I remember I had just gotten home from school, and one of my uncles had picked us up from the bus stop. And I actually remember calling my dad on his cell phone. I was like, hey, Dad, like my uncle's car just broke down. Like, at what time are you getting home? And he was just like, I just got into a car accident. I'm going to have to call you back. And I just remember that feeling. I just knew something wasn't right after that. and I just had like that pit in my stomach. At that point, maybe I was 11, 12 years old. And I don't think my mom had a cell phone. Otherwise, I would have reached her. And I just remember like anxiously waiting for my mom to arrive. And she finally arrived. And I'm like, hey, do you know what happened to my dad? And she's like, no, what happened? And I was like, I don't know. I just got a call that he was in a car accident, but like, call him. So she calls him. And by the time my mom calls him, my dad was like, hey, I was picked up by immigration. I'm actually, you know, in the back of the van, handcuffed. They're about to take my cell phone. Can you call an immigration attorney? Like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? By the time my mom, you know, tried to call different attorneys in town and get some kind of guidance, and she tried to give him a call back, and she couldn't reach him. It was too late. It was too late. So she couldn't hear. We didn't hear from him for, I think, approximately 3 days. We had no idea where he was at or anything. So
how is that even possible?
Yeah.
It's beyond me. And see, like, especially with everything going on right now, where people feel like, you know, it's like all of a sudden, no, it's been happening.
It's been happening.
It's been happening.
It's been happening. And it's very frustrating because it's like, I don't know. I don't know if I understand, actually. I'm not going to say I understand. I don't understand why people say, like, just come here legally, just do it the right way.
Thank you. You know what? I'm super happy you mentioned that, because I want to talk about that. Because see, okay, let me tell you my perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. As a Belgian, if I want to go and live in the US, there is not a million options. It's either we have a lottery. So every year you can apply to the lottery, but you have to have a bachelor degree. You have to have like a clean record, be 21, and you can apply. And so every year they pick a certain number of people, and they say, hey, you got lucky, here's your green card. But they don't just give it to you. It takes like 2 years process. And then after the 2 years, you have to move to the US. If you don't, when they give you, after the 2 years, they give you the card. If you don't move in the next 6 months, you lose it. That's one option. I am not a lucky one. I tried it. I tried it. It didn't work. Second option is through birth. Right. Either your parents or your children. Right. My parents are not American. At the time I didn't have children. I mean, that didn't work for me. Or third option, through work. But that is only if you have like a job would actually sponsor you to have a green card, like a heart surgeon or something so specific, so rare that they can't find in the US, that they need really you to have. And so they would give you the green card. Management assistant. I wasn't going to get a green card like that. Or last option, through marriage. And so when I met my husband, and, you know, we were thinking, you know, did he move to Belgium or me move to America? And I mean, on the side, my dream was always to move to America. On a separate note, like my godfather lives in Texas. When I was 18, I went to visit him and for a month, and I just was like, oh my God, this is where I want to live. And so when I met my husband, and then he asked me to marry him, I told him the options. And I was like, so it's either I win the lottery and I come in through the lottery, or we get married. And so but I told him too, I don't want you to believe that I'm gonna come and I just want to marry you for the green card. Right. But how do you say that to someone? You know, it's like, it was insane.
It's difficult conversations,
right? Yeah. So I did apply for that lottery. I didn't make it, but in the meantime, we started the process of the 90-day fiancé visa. Yeah, that's what it is. And that's how I came in America. But so when people say, come legally, I'm like, what is the legal option? If you're not a doctor, even if you're not a doctor, it still doesn't mean that you're gonna get the green card through your job, or if your parents are not, or if you didn't win the lottery and you're already married. How the hell do you come legally to the U.S.? And so since you're an attorney too, I wanted to ask you, is there another way or a different way for Mexicans that I don't know about and that people seem to know about better than you know, everyone else? Or because that's what I'm so mad about. I'm like, don't you think that if there was a legal way, people would come legally? Yes. Yes. And so, and also, and then I don't know, I'll stop for my little like mingling, and then I'll let you answer me. But you know, there's something else that bothers me, is that why does the government not offer a better legal option? Because all those people and all those Mexicans that are picking the fields and washing your dishes and doing all the jobs that you don't want to do, why are they not made legal to be able to, because they're already paying taxes, even though they're illegal, but, you know, to even be part of that system, pay and, you know, be part of being American and being in the numbers. Why not? Why does the government not do that? And and I'm not a however you say that, conspiracy person, but I'm like, there must be something else behind it. And so okay. So is there any real or other legal options that you can think of?
So first, full disclosure, I'm not an immigration attorney, so I don't know too much of the details, but it's probably the same thing as you mentioned, right? One of them is family petition based. So it's like you have to have a family member that has U.S. citizenship, which is what my parents tried to do. But
with your aunt.
With my aunt. Otherwise, if you don't have anyone that lives here in the U.S., nobody could petition for you. And in addition, they have to make certain income in order for them to do that. And
I forgot to mention that.
Yeah. And the other things were the same options you mentioned, right? Like if you extracurricular, what do they call it? An extraordinary job.
Yes.
You know, what is the other one you said? Student visa, you know, all those things. And it's like, if you don't fall into those categories, it's like, how are you supposed to come here legally? And like I said, you know, my auntie petitioned for my mom in 1995. So the year that I was born. And up until I was 20 years old, she still hadn't received response from that petition. So it had been 20 years, no response. So, you know, to fast forward a little bit, then I turned 21 and I was able to petition for them. And that's how they became, you know, we got the residency and then they got their citizenship. They did the test and everything. But by the time I turned 21, they still hadn't heard anything from that petition. So it was faster for them to wait for me to turn 21 than for them to.
That is insane.
Isn't that?
That is insane. Insane. For people that are actually contributing to the American society and working. I don't understand. I really don't. And even to this day, and maybe this is going to be like controversial or whatever, but like people that are being arrested today are people that are working, contributing. Like of course, I'm not naive. Like, of course, I'm sure that you have criminals crossing the borders, but it's
just
not
like
just
anything.
Voila, and it's just not just Mexicans, and but it still doesn't make sense to me to It's just doesn't make sense. So okay, so now they're legal. They've been legal for 9 years,
and they're business owners. They actually, they, you know, my dad and my brother are doing very well off. They actually have an electrical company here. They do a lot of commercial and federal work. My mom has also always been her own boss. She cleans houses, so she has that business. So it's like, you know, when I hear those comments, I'm like, but you know, look at my parents, look at me, you know, what are we doing here that's bothering you? If anything, we're actually helping the economy. We're helping the people around us. So like you said, there's a little bit of everything in, you know, in every ethnicity. But it's just like, you can't put a whole group in one box.
No,
because that's not the case.
And I don't know if it's because, I don't know how it is in Mexico. Maybe you can tell us, but in Brussels, where I grew up, it's so diverse. There's so many different cultures. And so I grew up in that. I grew up being part of, like, walking down the street and having like a bakery, but also like a Turkish snack, like I call it a snack, but it's like oh, you guys don't have this here. We have a lot of like fries came from Belgium, and so we have a lot of like little restaurant that are just like making fries, and we call those durum. They're kind of like Turkish inspired. It's a tortilla with salad, fries, and the meat wrapped, and you eat it like a burrito, but it's called a durum, and it's really good. But and so yeah, so we mixed our culture with that, even with like Turkish people that came and kind of like embraced that and mixed it all together. You have so many like even Asian like restaurants, but also like neighborhoods and Moroccan neighborhoods and culture and restaurants, and so it's kind of a mix, and to the point that growing up I was in a Catholic school, but we had a lot of different like religious people, Muslim people too, and I told this story on the podcast already, but I think that was the young like political woman in me at the time. But I remember that at some point the teacher was like, "Oh, okay, so Friday we have the final exam, be ready, la la la," and then all of a sudden like half of the class raised their hands and they're like, "Hey, ma'am, we're gonna be sick Friday," and she's like, Huh? And then she realizes it was going to be Ramadan, so they were all going to be sick. Yeah. And so she was like, "Oh, that's okay. Well, for you guys, then you can have the exam Monday."
Yeah. Easy.
I was like, "Wait, excuse me, can't we all have the exam Monday?"
Yeah. Make it easier for everybody.
I'm like, "Wait, what?" And then, but little did you know, at break time, like the whole school, they all texted each other. They came to me, they were like, "Oh, you're racist." I'm like, "No, but like I'm glad, like have a happy Ramadan, go celebrate, but why do you get an extra weekend to study and I don't?"
Yeah.
You know, so it was kind of always in me to just like include everybody and just make sure that it was fair for everyone.
Yeah.
And so it's frustrating sometimes to be here and feel like you almost have to, and it's even, I feel like it's hard, especially like as a white woman, to say those things, because I feel privileged, and I don't just feel privileged. I've been privileged, and I know that. But I'm like, I want to use that to fight and raise my voice and use it to say that it's not okay, and maybe be part of the change if I can. So thank you for coming and telling us your story and your parents' story. And you guys are so strong, and I'm so proud of you guys.
Thank you.
However, whatever it means coming from me, but I hope you're so proud of yourselves too. And I'm so glad I get to share your story and share that no, Mexicans are not all drug dealers.
No.
And they're not here to take advantage of the system.
Right.
And, so yes.
Yeah, no, thank you. That means a lot. I really appreciate it. Like I said, it's been a journey, right? And it's been a very difficult one, but I wouldn't change anything from it. I think, the hurdles that we went through, everything that we went through was for a reason. And now we're here, and, my goal, my mission is, to help people around me, to help, women, to help men, anyone that, went through the same struggle that I went through, and, that they don't have the resources that, I didn't have either. So it's like, I want to be that resource for them. I want to be that guidance that I wish I would have had back in the day.
Yes. And thank you for that. So is it okay if anyone is listening and would like to reach out to you? Is it okay for them to do that?
Yes, absolutely. I'm more than happy to, help anyone that I can. Like right now, my main focus is helping people that are trying to get into the legal field, just because, again, I didn't have that support. But, in any way that I could help or mentor, I'm more than happy to, guide or support in any way I can.
Nice. So please do.
Yes.
Please reach out to Karen, and that's amazing. Creating bonds and pushing each other up and helping. I think it's funny because it was 2 podcasts ago. I think it was with Christian Bennett and Mama Trios. We were talking about how people are rooting for you until you're doing better than them.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, they're like,
that doesn't feel so good.
Right?
Yeah.
But not here.
No.
Here we'll be rooting for you all the way.
Yes.
So to success and beyond. Like for real, this is what it's about. So, what's your specialty?
Yeah, so I'm actually doing personal injury. I work here for, it's honestly been a life-changing experience. I didn't start there. I started doing nonprofit housing and then eventually transferred over to that field. And I fell in love with the field. I fell in love with helping people. I fell in love with, helping navigate the system. So I really enjoy it.
Nice. Okay. Do you see yourself being in the same field, or where do you see yourself in the next years?
That's a good question. I do see myself in the same field. Like I said, I really enjoy it. I love what I'm doing. I don't know. I'm willing to take whatever opportunity, comes my way. Okay. Like I said, I think my biggest focus has always been, even before being an attorney, has been helping people. So, I do a lot of this on the side, like I mentioned, right? I love to mentor people and help them and be the resource that I wish I would have had. So as long as I'm always helping people and feel like I'm making a difference, I think I'll be happy.
Yeah. And it's interesting because do you go to court too?
No. So I'm actually on the other side, on the pre-litigation side.
Okay.
And it's weird because a lot of people don't know this about attorneys. I feel like people think that when you're an attorney, all you have to do is go to court, but there's just so many routes you can take with it. And I think a lot of it had to do with me. One, I enjoy more of that one-on-one interaction with clients. I enjoy that, having that personal time. And I feel like when you focus more on the litigation side, you're more removed. I could be wrong. I've never done it, but that's just how I feel.
Yeah.
And the other aspect of it is I enjoy my work-life balance. And nice. I know if I was on that position, right, it's just, I would be prepping all the time.
Consuming.
Just because I'm a perfectionist. I want to be the best version for myself and for my clients. So it would have just been too overwhelming for me.
And speaking of your work-life balance, so are you married?
Yes, I'm married. I just got married last November, so it's going to be a year. We have 2 fur babies.
Congratulations.
Thank you. They're my everything. But yeah, we've been married for a year.
Nice. How long have you known each other?
Oh gosh, it's probably going to be about 8 years. We met when I was in law school.
Okay.
Around the end of my first year. And I remember on our first date, I didn't even know if it was going to go anywhere, but I remember telling him hey, by the way, I'm moving to Albuquerque. So you do what you want with that information. And sure enough, I graduated and he followed me.
Wow. So did you meet in your undergrad in Portales or in Illinois?
No, in Illinois.
In Illinois.
Yes.
And you moved from Illinois to here?
Yes. So he was working at Procter & Gamble. He was in a town over from the law school. It was an hour commute. So we did that for, 2 years while I was in law school. And then I moved down and then we did long distance for about another 2.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And then he eventually ended up moving down here.
And is he still working remote then? Because I remember when I moved here with my supervisor at the time, we looked to see if there was I can't think of the name, P&G here in Albuquerque or in New Mexico even, but there's none.
No, there's not. So he's still working for the company. I don't know if he got special treatment. I don't know the situation, but yeah, he's still here in Albuquerque.
Nice.
But yeah, he's still working for Procter & Gamble. That's where he started and that's where he's been.
You know what? I loved working for them.
Yeah.
I think they're a really good company and not a lot of people know how many brands they own, but I always used to get free everything they have. They would just give us the employee. But I mean, working remote, I don't know how it would work for you.
Oh my gosh, we have a garage full of toilet paper.
There we go.
And shampoo. But that was when he was working in person. So we'll eventually run out of that stock.
I remember I was the budget expert for R&D.
Yeah.
And so I would do the inventory for all the labs and stuff. But I would also be part of the budgeting, the research and development and the new products and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I would get to sometimes even look or test some stuff.
Yeah.
Early on, it was fun. I loved it so much. And yeah, all the pods and whatever we would get for free and the gifts, and It's a really cool company. I wish they had a spot here in New Mexico even, but
I know. My husband said that they were between Phoenix and here building a plant, and then they decided with Phoenix. I'm like, that's unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. Maybe they'll change. Maybe they'll add one someday.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, hey, remember me? Okay, so I was gonna ask you, if you don't mind, before we dig a little deeper into your current relationship.
Yeah.
If you wanted to talk about how were you relationship-wise? Was it always easy with the boys, or how?
Oh my gosh, no.
How was your journey?
I've always been so independent. So I never was the kind of girl that was like, I'm going to get married. That was never me. Have kids, anything like that. So,
okay.
I would date, but it was just always for fun. I would say that I always was more on the funner side, never took things too serious. So even when I met him, I think after like our first dinner date, I was ready to just cut him off and just keep doing me.
Okay.
But actually one of my friends at the time, she was like, hey, just go on another date, because he had invited me to like a winery, I think, and that's my favorite thing. I love to do wineries and taste different kind of wines. So I was like, you know what, I got nothing to lose. And then he just, I guess, swept me off my feet.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
So he pursued you.
He did. He was persistent.
Nice.
It took us, I think, almost a year after starting to date to make it official, because I was so unattached.
Okay. And so you didn't have, how do you say that? Like love at first sight, or like, it's funny because my husband always loves to say that. So for me, like when I saw him, I was like in love right away.
Yeah.
And he loves to say, I wasn't.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of reverse. So I was him, and you're in your situation, and he was you. But, and so I pursued him so badly. But so when was that moment for you that you realized that you were actually in love with him?
Gosh, that's a good question. I think it was probably as soon as we started. Well, not as soon as we started dating, but as like as the date started going on, just the way we would communicate, it just seemed so easy. He's so patient, he's so kind. So I've always been very out there, very outspoken, and very independent, as I said. So it was very hard for me to find a partner, because I felt like anyone that I dated or was around me always seemed to want to keep me down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't really like seeing me being out there. They didn't like me being so outspoken. They didn't like me being, I don't want to say better than them, but just doing better. Salary wise, anything like that.
Yes.
So it was very difficult in that regard. But again, I wasn't disappointed, because I just never thought marriage was for me.
Yeah, it wasn't meant for, at that
So
time.
as I started to get to know my husband, it was just a whole different world. He was always so supportive, and has been pushing me to be my best version of myself. So patient, so loved, so kind. And it was just so different. It was just like, I was so used to everybody relying on me. And then I finally found someone I could rely on. And I never had that. So
that's so beautiful.
It just seemed like a natural match. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
It's I feel the same way when I think it's a hint when you find the right partner, it's because that person is the one that's rooting for you no matter what. And I feel like in my relationship, at some point, financially, I was doing better than him, then he was doing better than me. Then it's been like kind of like fluctuating, but every step of the way we've been there for each other and be so proud and pushing each other. And that's the goal. I mean, that's what a relationship is supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
So I'm so happy that that's what you get to with your husband, and just like complete fire, like just being proud and pushing each other and pushing each other to be the best also. Right. It's funny because I was just talking with my sisters the other day, and they were telling me that their boyfriends were kind of like not controlling how they dressed, but kind of ish, like, not, or whenever if they would leave the house with like, I don't know, something a little showing or like that they didn't really like, they would be like, oh, but I'm scared for you or stuff like that, or be like, hey, maybe don't wear this. And I'm like, oh, Joshua, my husband, he never said anything like that. And if anything, like I was telling you earlier before I left the house, I was like, hey, are you sure it's okay? Because I'm not the most confident woman in my skin, but I like this blouse that hides my arms, but it's super short and it shows my belly a little. And I was like, are you sure it's okay? And he was like, what are you talking about? Like, no, you're good. Yeah. But I was like, okay, it's not a moment where I need you to say, you need to be confident. I need you to really tell me.
Yeah, like, you look good.
Yes.
You look good.
But so, yeah, no, you know, and I feel like that's what you get in your relationship too.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, it was so hard to go from being hyper independent to trying to blend that in. And, you know, to this day, it's not perfect, right? And I think what helps is his patience.
Right?
He understands, you know, who I am as a person and who I'm trying to be, and he pushes me to be that person. And I hope I do the same for him. So it just feels more as a, you know, teamwork versus me versus you. Yes. And I think that's a lot of what I've heard growing up, especially from my parents and just family. You know, it's like kind of like when you get married, your life is over. That's kind of the message you would get when it's like, oh, you're getting married, like enjoy it now while it lasts. Like, you know, that's the kind of thing that I would hear. That's true. While growing up. So, you know, to go from that and like actually living my own marriage, it's like, what are you talking about?
Right?
I'm having like the best years of my life. Like I love having a husband. I love that we get to travel and do all these things together. It's like you have a built-in best friend in your house.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. That's how I see my husband too. He's my best friend, my ride or die. And sometimes I'm like, I put so much on him, poor thing. He's like our parents did to us.
Yeah.
I'm doing to him. He's like my therapist, my everything. Even though I'm the accountant and I do all the like paperwork stuff, but he's definitely the shoulder I lean on.
Yeah.
That I didn't get growing up too. So that's crazy. See, for me, I kind of like you before him. I never had a long relationship or even a serious one that lasted. But also because yes, I was independent, but I was also a psychopath. I was like, I didn't have time to lose. So I was like, okay, I want 5 kids. I want this. I want that. And we were 15 and they were like, hey, no.
Yeah.
And so it lasted 5 minutes and that was it. And so it's the way it was. And then a lot of men just wanted a one-off, and at some point I was just over that. I was just like, that's not what I'm looking for. So and then my dad was like, oh my god, are you gonna just be a lesbian or be like alone with cats? And you know, I like to say that, but I'm also like, well, what if, first of all, you know? And then I was like, well, okay, like they had cats. I never had animals until now. I'm with my husband and we have a pug. Enfin, he had a pug when I moved here, and so we have an older pug. I know, his name is Chip. He's adorable. What are your dog's names?
I have a Dax and Beverly. So Dax is a big German Shepherd mixed with the pit bull, and Beverly's a little Chihuahua.
Oh, that's crazy.
They're opposites. It's funny when I walk them. It's like one's like huge and the one's tiny.
Tiny. Oh,
yeah.
Is the Chihuahua barking louder than the German Shepherd?
Yes. She's super needy. She's so needy.
Oh my god!
And my other dog, he just has an older soul. He just like, don't touch me, don't look at me, let me sleep.
Oh
yeah,
nice. So you get both, but it's funny to have that life out of a Chihuahua.
Yeah.
Yep.
It keeps you on your toes.
Have you always been an animal person?
Oh my gosh, no. So my parents don't like, I don't want to say they don't like animals, but they never been a animal person, especially inside a house. Like that was just never something that I grew up with. So for the longest time, I was the same way. You know, I felt, I hate to say this now, but I felt grossed out. I didn't get it. I didn't understand how people did that. And it wasn't until COVID hit where it actually stemmed from me wanting someone I could go hiking with. And I didn't want to go by myself. So I was like, oh, maybe a dog is a good option. So I went and got my first fur baby from a shelter, and it was just like love at first sight. And then just now I can't imagine my life without them.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then no pressure intended, but do you guys want children eventually?
Yeah, it's interesting you asked that question. I know you briefly talked on it a little bit before, but it's actually been a topic, and it's, I would say, a difficult one because, as you mentioned, as a woman, you put everything on hold. You put your life on hold, your career on hold,
right?
Everything. And it's just, it takes a lot for me to want to get there because I feel so selfish right now. You know, I feel like I'm at the peak of what I'm doing, of my career, of, you know, I feel like I'm just barely touching the surface. So for me to think about bringing a life in, it just, I don't know, it's difficult. But at the other side, it's like my husband wants to as well. So it's been a conversation, and I think it's a hard one, right? It's a hard one to decide to give up your independence, who you are, and switch over to being a mom and everything like that. But again, you see so many badass moms that have so many like things going on, their career, you know, hobbies, and it's like they're still able to be a mom. So
yes, but it's hard.
Yeah,
it's so hard. And you know, we were actually talking about that last night because I was just realizing that growing up, I was a mini mom. And so for me, it was kind of a no-brainer that I was going to have children.
Yeah.
And that it was going to be so easy.
Yeah.
It's not. And it's really hard. And it's actually really hard. It's hard because, like I mentioned, and I don't mean to like point finger in any way, like, you know, but 99% of the time we're alone. And we're taking care of our son, and it's our son, so it's normal. But at the same time, when you're pregnant, everybody's like, hey, it takes a village to raise a child. And it does. And our village is just the two of us. So we're struggling mentally because we don't drink, we don't smoke, and we like to hike and go on walks, but we don't do that often enough. And sometimes you just, you know, you put your child in a safe environment and you just go yell in a pillow.
Yeah.
And then you go right back in because they're, you know, it's you. And so by any means, it's not easy. And I was just thinking about it because I was like, wait, growing up, I took care of my brothers and sisters and it seemed easy.
Yeah.
It seemed easy because ultimately, at the end of the day, they were not my responsibility. I was not the parent, but I was the buffer. I was the help. And so I was that village for my parents. And right now, you know, again, I have all those like hats at the same time. And so I'm not regretting having a child by any means, but man, I wish we had more help. And so, because we want more,
right?
But we're terrified right now. Because I mean, I'm 32, and so I'm like, I don't want to be an old mom, and I don't, you know, and then as soon as you're 36, then it's a geriatric pregnancy.
Yes.
Really fun word.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, I have 4 more years before I'm considered a grandma to be a mom. And I'm like, damn, like, you know, I would want more, and I want my son to have more. I had so much fun growing up with my brothers and sisters, and from your experience, it seemed that you had fun with your brother too. And so, you know, but I feel you're 100% because I'm like, I want to pursue the podcast. I want to keep growing in my career, but ultimately, I want to live off the podcast. I want to take it on the road. I want to meet people. I want to do so much, and I'm like. Yeah. It's possible with kids, but at what cost, you know? And so it's like, okay, do I hustle now, and do we postpone it a little bit? Do we wait? Do we do it now? Do we ha? And so, and you know, the unfair thing is there's so much pressure on us women.
Yes.
And I'm sure, because I had the same questions, I'm sure at every family gathering you get when is the child? Well, you know, and on top of it, you just got married.
Yes.
So now it's like, so when is the child coming?
Yes. And it's like you said, it's like that pressure, right? It's not even socially as well, but it's like biologically.
Biologically.
Yeah, there you go, biology. There you go. But it's like, you know, they tell you, it's like
the clock's ticking.
Your clock is ticking. Are you going to freeze your eggs? And it's like, whoa, hold on. I feel like I just grew up. I feel like, you know, what do you mean? Like, I only have a certain amount of years. So it's like having to think about those things. And a lot of people say, well, you know, you have a supportive partner, but it's like, Yes, but it only takes you so far. Again, I don't have kids, but it just seems like the mother takes the majority of the load. It seems like the mother, once you become a mother, you just never take that hat off. And it's a hard decision, and it's something I don't take lightly. And it's something that honestly sometimes gives me nightmares, because it's like, I wish I could just have both. And I don't know how you have both. And again, I see so many women do it, but I don't know.
Yeah. To be honest with you, we have friends that, they have the opportunity to have their own parents that are like retired or semi, and that can like jump in and help, and I'm so happy for them. I'm super jealous, but I'm super happy for them. So in your case, if you know you're going to have family members, your parents or his parents, like if you have that support system, it kind of like makes it easier. By any means, it's not easy, but that you're going to have, if you have to work or if you have, daycare is free in New Mexico now. So, that's a good thing, but that helps us a lot, like tremendously, since we put our son in daycare. But if you have that help that you can say, hey, can you come and watch over my child? Or if you can I drop him or her off? That's a big one that we don't have. But
and that's what my husband says. He says, our parents did it, and why can't we do it? We have that support system. But on the flip side, it's like I argue and I tell him, yeah, but doesn't mean that was the best life. And it's like we go back to my childhood, right? Or I can't speak on him. It's like, I wish my mom was around more. I wish my dad was around more. So it's like,
I see.
Yeah, I could work and take them to daycare and leave them on my parents, but it's like, why bring them then?
Why have a child then? Yep, I understand.
It's like, so maybe I'm all just in my head, but
no, but it's all, it's all valid, and believe me, you won't get any judgment from me. But it is rough, because indeed it almost feels like in this society the woman is not allowed to pursue her career,
right?
And so I'm so happy for you, and I'm so happy that you're happy in your career, and that you're pursuing that, and that's all I want for you. And indeed, there are other options, like we were talking about, like, which is the pressure that's put on women, that, hey, pursue a career, but keep in the back of your mind that you have to then, freeze your eggs or whatever. And I mean, that's an option. But it's all like also costly.
Yes.
Because people say that, like, oh, come the legal way.
Yes.
But do you have the money to do
exactly
for me to do that? So by any means, you will do whatever works for you whenever it works for you.
Yeah.
And you guys are happy, and you'll be happy no matter what. And happiness doesn't mean like. Because a lot of people, it's like the American dream, right? That really doesn't exist anymore. But like the white picket fence, the children, the dog, but happiness is where you put it.
Yeah. And I think what I would want women to take away from this is, don't feel that pressure, right? It's like everybody has different routes. Everybody has different paths, different careers. And it's like, do what's best for you and your partner, right? Don't fall into that pressure, or, because we have to have kids, or, or maybe, you are meant to be a mom and that's what you want to do, and you want to be a stay-at-home mom, then do that.
Right.
But do not let yourself be judged and for your decisions or what you want to do with your life.
And please, let's break that cycle. Women between women. Do not be that woman that's like, because that's always a question. You just got married. It's like, oh, when is the first kid coming out? And then I give birth to my kid, and the next day, oh, when are you going to have a second one? And I'm like,
hold on, give me a break.
What? Not today.
Yeah.
So let's break that cycle of the peer pressure. And even though I did ask you the question,
no.
But let's. I
think it's an important one.
Yeah, and let's ask it with respect and open heart, and not with judgment, and be like, oh no, but you're gonna regret it. You know what I mean? It's like, no, you won't. You're do whatever makes you happy, and it's not because for one woman that, you know, having children and being home is happiness, that I feel like we do that too. Like as human beings, we just project our own happiness on others.
Yes.
And we feel that because, something makes us happy.
Yeah.
Like take a bath with a margarita makes me happy. Maybe you hate bath.
Yes. Right. Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like, let's stop like doing that. So yes, I thank you for sharing that with us.
No, of course.
Is your brother still lives in Albuquerque?
Yeah, so
Is your
he's
family here too?
he still lives here. He got his bachelor's in business. He's always been a super smart kid.
Oh yeah, you were saying he was working with
my dad. Yeah, yeah. So he got his bachelor's in business, graduated, and always being an entrepreneur from a very young age, and just seeing my parents. He graduated, and he didn't want to work for anybody else. He was like, that's not for me. So he actually went and got his contractor license and took over the business with my dad, and now they're co-owners, and
nice.
He's his own boss, and I'm so jealous. He's 25 years old. He's so young, and he gets to go golf midweek because he just, you know, and, you know, don't get me wrong, he does have very stressed and has a lot on his head, but it's like, I'm very proud of him. It's like
nice.
25-year-old and already his own business owner and just doing the best he can.
You know what? I'll make sure to reach out. What is your brother's name?
Yeah, Jesus Sanchez.
Jesus Sanchez. If you are interested in being part of a sponsorship with a local podcast,
yes,
I will reach out to you. And I mean, you never know, but you know, it's also promoting, you know, local businesses and and especially, you know, legal businesses that came from immigration and we're all from immigration. I mean, at this point, it's like, you know, it's ridiculous to say America for Americans because America was built on immigration. Right. So, I dream. I'm a do you say utopist? I feel like it's the third time I say that, and I don't even know if it's a real word. But I would like to believe that. I would like to live in a world where we just all decide wherever we want to live. Because if there were no borders, right? Governments would actually have to fight to offer the best governments for their citizens, right? And so they, you know, then if you could pick and choose where you live, they would have to fight to have the best healthcare and the best like social system and help and education and stuff. And instead of that, we have to fight and it's crazy. Do you often go back to Mexico?
Yeah, so my mom still has her family home there. So we go to Juarez, maybe she goes more often, but maybe every 2 months. And nice. I just love exploring Mexico. So any chance I get, you know, I'm also going and exploring different cities, towns. That's just my home. I've heard it's so beautiful. I really dream to go. But also weirdly enough, like stereotypically, it's almost like it feels like because I'm a white girl, it's like dangerous for me to go. Yeah. And I'm just like, okay, but I still want to go. I still want to go explore. And like my son's favorite Disney movie is Coco. Yeah. Is it in any way portraying like Mexican culture, right? Or did you see it? Yeah, I think it got very close to it actually, nice. Just with the Day of the Dead and the traditions. But yeah, I think it comes very close to, you know, what our culture represents for that day. But, you know, going back to you being afraid of traveling there, it's funny you say that because it's like, I actually feel safer traveling to Mexico than in the US just because of all the shootings, concerts, libraries, grocery stores, schools, where I feel like in Mexico, yes, there's narcos, there's carteles, but I feel like it's fewer. Like you have to be in that crowd. And a lot of these tourist towns, they protect the tourists because that's where their money comes from. So, you know, it gets portrayed differently, right? But it feels different. And, you know, my husband, he's Black. So same thing, you know, before he met me, I think he'd been to Cancun, just one of the most touristy towns. So he had no idea of like Mexico and what it was like. And now I just feel like he feels so comfortable going every time, even though it's like, you know, I feel like we're always getting that extra attention because of him a lot of the times. I think they've asked us multiple times if he's like an American football player.
Oh, interesting. Is he
yeah.
like super build and tall? And okay.
Probably because he's tall. Yeah, he has big shoulders, so they're like, is he an American football player? But no, it's like, you know, we felt safe to this day, and I don't think we've ever experienced anything crazy, and I hope we never do.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes. In French, we say like touch wood, so we like you touch your head when you don't.
Knock on wood.
Right? But is there anything you want to share about your culture?
What do I want to share? I think one of the things is just how close you are with your family, and to me, it was a shock because I thought every culture was like that. And apparently it's not. A lot of them are like, once you turn 18, you move out of your house and you're done with your parents. But, you know, in our culture, we're all just so tied together and a very supportive system. And I think that's what, you know, I love about my culture. And I hope that I could implement if I do ever decide to have kids, you know, to our kids. And it's just like, having that support system and knowing that you're not alone. I think that's a huge thing.
I think that's what I love the most about, I think, Hispanic culture, even in general. I feel like it's such a, from my perspective, like a vibrant but also loving and family driven culture,
right?
In general. And I love that. I love that we get to share that too. And and it's funny because, so my son's birthday is tomorrow, but we're celebrating next Saturday. And it's Coco themed because Coco is my son's favorite Disney movie. And so like for him, funny enough, he loves it so much that he thinks that every dog is named Dante because that's the name of the dog. So it's like, oh, Dante. It's like, no, it's a dog, but you know, it's yeah, and that's what I love about that Disney movie too, is that they do emphasize on family and the importance of remembrance and family. And that's what I try to teach my son too, because I'm far from my family that's in Belgium. And so I speak French to him, and I try to give him that and make sure that, you know, we FaceTime and send videos with my family, and he gets to see them. So that that also is part of it. But I love to see, we grew up also discovering different cultures. Like my dad would, through food, like my dad would always cook, like we would have the African week and
so cool.
The Chinese week and then the Indian week. And we would always then eat like stuff from those different cultures. And it was always so fun. Interesting. So I want to do that. And it's interesting because I feel like when you do that here, people like raise the flag of culture appropriation. Like for my son's birthday, I'm gonna be full, like I have like a black dress with like the embroidered flowers, like Mexican style, and I'm gonna have the crown like Frida Kahlo, and you know, and I'm gonna be like full Mexican. Look, we're all gonna be looking like Mexican looking, and we're gonna have like the papel de picado, hanging, and we're gonna eat tacos, and you know, and I'm so scared because of like, well, I'm sorry, I promise I'm not culture appropriating. I just love your culture, and so
I think that's funny that you say that. It's just a lot of people take offense. I'm like, as long as you're not being disrespectful, right? No, to me, it's like, you know, if you're like burning a flag or something, you know, what, despite what country it is, anything like that, it's like, no, but it's like, if people are trying to, you know, wear your attire or anything like that, it's like, they appreciate your culture. They want to feel it that way. So, I can't speak on the whole community, but I think you should enjoy your son's celebration.
Thank you so much. So we have a little tradition on the show. I have 2 stacks of cards.
Okay.
One is expressions, and the other one is life questions. And so if you don't mind, you can pick either one, a card of from each stack, and then you can read them to us and let us know if it means anything to you.
Okay, so one of each?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you want me to read it out loud?
Yes.
Okay, it says, the only limit to our realization of tomorrow is our doubts of today. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Oh my gosh. Gosh, I could have another whole podcast on this. But to keep it short and sweet, you know, we are our biggest haters. We are the person that keeps ourselves down, because most of the time, everybody around you, especially your inner circle, is rooting for you. But when you let doubts, insecurities, fears get in your way, you're limiting your capability of success, of doing what you were meant to be. So what I would say is ignore those fears, ignore those insecurities, ignore that voice in your head, and go for it. Go for it, because you will be surprised where you end up if you don't listen to any of those things.
It's crazy because you say that looking straight in my eyes, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. Yes, I promise I will. Because you said that so deeply. Oh my God. Thank you for saying that. It's and right back at you.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's so true. It's so hard because like before I started the podcast, right, is the fear of, oh my God, what are people going to think? But first of all, people don't care. I mean, they care.
And they're going to judge regardless.
Yes. But in general, it's like, I think we project our fear on what people are going to think or do. And most of the time it's because, we're doing that to ourselves. And, thank you. That was so well said. I'm not even going to try to rephrase. It's just perfectly said. And I hope that everybody does that too. And I will be the first one to try and do it because it's hard because you see yourself succeed too at the same time.
Right.
But I have so many times I've feared like doing something and starting, and then the next day or the week after I regret not starting it or not doing it, because it's like you believe in it, but there's like little teeny tiny fear that takes over. And so, okay, thank you for sharing that with us. Do you have any example that pops to mind or that you can think of in that matter, like about something you wanted to do and you didn't end up doing?
So I think I've done everything I want to do. I think I've always been that person that's like, I rather do it and like, I guess learn from it or regret it than wonder what if. So I've always, gone for it. But what I will say is there has been times, right? Especially early on in my legal career and when I started law school, that there was moments where I wanted to give up on myself just because of the surroundings. I wasn't doing really good my first year of law school. So I got a talk from the dean that she was like, if you don't get your grades up by the end, you're going to have to be let go of the program. So that was a lot. This whole time I'm thinking I'm meant for this. And then somebody's telling me that I'm not. So I had to just ignore those voices and just go for it. And I mean, if I would have listened, who knows where I would have been.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Thank you for pushing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, because indeed, we would, who knows if we would have met or.
Who knows where I would have been.
Right.
So I always tell people, it's like, just go for it. Just go for it. It's better to do it and, make a mistake than to wonder what if. What if I would have started this podcast? What if, I would have started this new career? What if? It's like, no, just do it.
Just do it.
Or what if I would have continued dating this person? Maybe I would have been married to them. Just date them. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
I know that's what I'm telling my sister right now too, because she's having a hard time. Like it's, she's not having the best relationship with her fiance's family, but she's also like, well, she doesn't have the best relationship with our family right now. And so she's like, do I want to go and like get married with someone that like I don't have a good relationship with his family? And am I going to be okay if it's just the two of us? And so I was trying to talk to her and be like, hey, if there is love, go ahead and keep going. But if not, there's a lot of men on this planet and maybe it's not meant to be. But if you love him and it's strong enough, please go by any means, keep going. But if there's the little, even the slightest doubt, he's not the man for you. Like
Yeah.
as soon as I met my husband,
Yeah. Easy. Yeah.
I've known that he was going to be the love of my life. And there's no doubt in like when because we fight, you know.
Yeah. That's normal.
Yeah, to me, if there is no fight, there's no love. But I mean, okay, fight. Don't make me say what I didn't say, but healthy,
Yes,
confrontational conversations. Let's say it like that. That's healthy. But if you come to physically conversation together, it's not healthy. That's not okay. Oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. I always do that. But yeah, so either way, with her, I was telling her, if you don't know, if in your heart you're questioning yourself, it might not be the right person for you. But it's of course easier said than done, especially for me when we found the right person for us. But and even so, I've heard so many people too that were married for. That's so hard for me to hear those stories where people were married for so long, and then they're like, "Yeah, we just realized that we
were meant for each other."
Yeah, or that they were meant for like so many years, and then they parted ways, and I'm like,
yeah. So that's what I would say to your sister. It's like, go for it. If you feel like that's what you want to do right now, go for it. I don't wish this on her or anybody else,
right.
but it's like if a divorce came about, it's like, it's not the end of the world. You wouldn't be the first one. And at least you know in your heart that you tried and that you gave it your all. And now you could continue living life without having that doubt in your heart. That's like, what if I would have continued? Would we, would have that been my person?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In your case, why getting married after 8 years? What, was it the like logical, like, step in your guys' relationship, or because I mean you said you've known each other for 8 years, but so why, because that's a long time.
So I think it was, I was in school, he was already working, so for him it didn't make sense, right, while I was in school. So I think just as we started developing, our relationship started developing, I think that's when I started seeing myself as a wife. That's when I started potentially seeing myself as a mom. It's like, it wasn't until I met him that I was like, okay, maybe that is for me. So then, we naturally started having those conversations. And then with him, moving down, we just felt like, that was the right thing for us.
Nice. Okay. Did he propose or did you?
He did.
He did?
He did, yeah. We were actually in Tequila, Jalisco. We were on a trip. And I remember it was like a dinner. We were having a dinner, and I remember him asking like, "Hey, I just want to let you know that, I see a future with you and that we're like eventually going to be together." So it was sounding like a proposal, but not really. And then I remember he pulled out like a ring, like a wedding band, but it had no diamond on it. Like it was just the wedding band. And I was like, I'm so confused. Like, what does this mean? I was like, you're giving me a band with no diamond? Like, I'm confused. And he was just like, well, I'm just trying to tell you, like, that, I care for you and I see a future for us and that I'm eventually like going to put a diamond on it and, whatever.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, okay. I thought I was getting proposed to, but that works. And then 2 days later, he surprises me with the actual ring.
Oh,
so he just like threw me off my game. He just wanted to see if I was going to say yes or no. He's so excited.
Kind of like, making sure, like, let's not ruin this, like, relationship, but let me have some, insurance that, okay.
High anxiety. He wanted to make sure I was going to tell him yes.
Poor thing.
But I'm like, who does that?
So just in case, I got you just a ring.
I was so confused. I just remember being like, what does that mean? Like, what, am I supposed to show my parents this ring and say like it's not really a proposal? But no, then he actually surprised me like 2 days later.
Oh, that's amazing. Congratulations, you guys.
Thank you.
That's so great. How old is he?
He is my same age. So
same 30?
Yeah, he's just going to turn 31.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Would you want to try to read your second card?
Second one. Oh, what is the most important relationship in your life right now?
I mean, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be the one that you are thinking about.
I think I would just say, my immediate family as a whole. I think that's the most important thing for me. I think that's my purpose, whatever it is I do in life. And I've always said this, I rather be close to my parents, to my brother, have my husband than, to have to move away and be away from that, to make more money. And again, I'm not judging on anybody that does that, but it's just like, to me, it's just, I value family over anything else. So I always, I'm impressed and applaud the people that do that, because it's so hard. It's so hard. So, I would say the most important relationship in my life right now is my family.
Nice. So I wanted to ask you too, I remember in my conversation with Aritza, and she was saying as also like Mexican woman coming from Mexican origins, growing up, she had this like example from her mom and her aunties that she always had to look perfect, right? And like makeup on, hair done, like she would never leave the house like looking neglected, or where I do leave the house with no makeup and a bun and in sweatpants sometimes. And I feel ashamed now. No, having my conversation with her. But is it something that you grew up on too? Is it like a global like thing in Mexican families, or for Mexican women in particular?
I could see it. I know a lot of families who are like that, but I wasn't raised in that, so I was actually the opposite. Oh, okay. My mom did, though, maybe because she pushed me so hard. She's the type of person that's going to look at my nails and say, you either like take off that nail polish or go get them done, or like, hey, that pink on your hair doesn't look professional. Like, she's been that kind of person. Okay. So maybe it was a rebellion side of me that I always decided to do like the opposite. But it wasn't until probably when I started my legal career that I decided to make the switch for myself. And it was more of, when I look good, I feel good, I perform better. And the other part was just being such a young attorney. It's like people weren't taking me seriously when I showed up in, I don't know, leggings and a bun. It's like I already had so many things going against me that I wasn't going to make my appearance another one.
See, that's funny, because that's what Aritza talked about too when she goes to, because she's an owner of Lindo Mexico as much as her parents now, and she was saying that she goes to meetings, she goes to like business meetings and even conferences, and she goes full on like dressed and hair done, high heels, but because she's a woman, first off, and then also like being so young, she's never been taken seriously. But she takes her seat, and she still talks and does her thing. But it's so hard, man. Because I feel like we can never win, right?
No.
If you come like neglected, you're not being taken seriously. But if you even come like prepared, it's still like, but a man, even a young man that comes, he's gonna be praised. Like, oh my God, but look at him, he's like taking over and he's doing it. But when it's a woman, it's like, oh, she must have a stake in it, or
she's just pretty. She's no brains.
Just pretty.
She's no brains.
Oh yeah, I know.
So it's like you never win or lose, but.
Let's keep fighting.
What I came to realize, it was just like, I'd rather be overdressed than underdressed, and I'm going to show up and I'm going to make my statement, and whether you like it or not, I belong there. And I'm going to stay there, whether it makes you uncomfortable or not.
Heck yeah.
I'm there to stay.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I'm writing for you too. I'm like, yes, please do. Do you ever even dream about having your own firm?
That's an interesting question. No, it just seems so difficult. Right now, I'm very lucky that the firm that I work with, I'm very close with, the operations of it and how everything works with the marketing. And I do more than just, the legal work. I'm more involved in, the marketing, the community service, everything, the whole aspect of it. And the other side of it is I've been very honored and privileged that they've helped me grow in the field, in a male-dominated field in the firm, and I continue to grow. So it's been really nice having that support system.
Nice.
So as of now, I don't think that's something in the cards for me. Like I said, I'm really enjoying where I'm at right now and who I'm working for. But yeah, you just never know, I guess.
Yeah. So on the podcast, we go from one thing to another. And I wanted to ask you, what is a typical day in Karen's life, and what, like, including what you eat, and or what would be like a typical day including like your best like meal or the best place you go to eat or that you prefer, if you can tell us.
Yeah. So I typically prioritize working out, so I always do that in the morning. Nice. Lately, I've been slacking off. I haven't been waking up. I do prioritize my sleep as well. So, if I don't get it done before work, I do it after work. But then, I get my workout in, I get dressed, ready for the day. I'm usually either grab a protein shake or oatmeal, something easy. I'm not really a breakfast person. Something light. I don't like anything heavy. And then, I'm at work from 8 to 5. Usually my lunch, it just depends. So I have this really weird thing where I don't like reheated meat.
Okay.
Which makes it really difficult.
Yes. Yes.
I have such a hard time planning what I'm going to eat for lunch. And especially lately, because I've been working on, my weight. That's always been something that I've dealt with, especially I was diagnosed with PCOS, polycystic syndrome, for a lot of people that don't know. And a lot of the things that comes with that is difficulty losing weight, whether, you're eating healthy and working out. Yeah. So that's the other thing. And then the other thing is acne. I've always dealt with really bad acne. And recently I started a program, maybe like 5-6 months ago, at a clinic here in town. And they pretty much cut a bunch of things from your diet. A lot of things that I was eating. So like, for example, dairy. I knew dairy was a huge one for me, but like dairy, anything spicy, like peppers, skin on tomatoes, broccoli, like a lot of things that I thought were healthy. So they did a complete cleanse on my diet. So it became even more difficult to eat or figure out what I was going to eat for lunch. So yeah, my lunch is always up in the air. And sometimes, we go out to eat with the firm. So, we'll do that. And then, I usually get off at 5. And after my 5 o'clock shift, I turn into my other shift, which is usually, I've been doing some TikToks. Like I said, I want to get into the side of mentoring people and just sharing my experience and resources, reading self-help books, investments.
Nice.
I love, I don't want to say money, but money. I'm obsessed with money. In the way that, I love to keep track of my budget. I love to see my money come in and out. I love to see it put into accounts. We also have a rental. So there's a lot of other things that we do on the side. Just make sure that, we're growing our money.
Yeah. That it's not just sleeping somewhere.
Yeah. Yep. But usually I'm in bed by 9 p.m. Again, I prioritize my sleep. But yeah, whole days are usually a blur. There's a mix of everything.
Okay, go type of day.
Yeah.
And, okay. And what, I know you have those restrictions and stuff, but what would you say is your favorite meal?
Oh, that's a good one. Aguachiles.
Oh.
Have you had them?
No.
So
you know what? It intimidates me because I don't know what it is, but I always see it on the cart, on the menu.
Yeah, on the menu.
Because my favorite restaurant is Lindo Mexico. And I love...
they have delicious aguachiles.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I need to check. What is it?
So it's like raw shrimp cooked in lime and chile. Yeah. So they soak it, and again, each place has different styles and different sauces, but it's usually raw, and then it gets cooked with the lime. But I love aguachiles. And then I'm such a dessert person, so any cake, fresas con crema, anything like that, I'm a big sucker.
Oh, I feel you. I come from a country where our specialty is chocolate. Believe me, I am
Yes.
I'm a chocolate person. But see, it's funny because so I do not have PCOS, but I relate with you because I have Hashimoto's. It's a thyroid issue.
Okay.
It's a autoimmune disease. And no matter what I do, my weight is what it is, and it's very difficult to lose weight and very frustrating because I have to work like twice as hard to lose just as much as, you know, I walk. I'm a clerk at the post office, and I do the early shift, which is usually the scanning packages, throwing. I'm always on my feet all day, every day. Every day I'm at 10,000 plus steps.
Oh,
and,
wow.
And I love walking. So on top of it, after work, most of the days we try to go on a walk with our son and this and that, and try to have him release some energy before bed.
Yeah.
And I try, you know, and I need to, I think I pretty much honestly took dairy out of my life completely because I noticed too that it gets me bloated too, and it's terrible. And gluten, which is really hard because I love bread and pastries and stuff. But yeah, you know, it's like, it's really hard to navigate trying an anti-inflammatory diet and like you, it's hard because most of the dishes like are really not that good reheated. And so for lunches it's terrible. It's really hard. So if you have lunch recipes for us, easy to take with us at work, we would love to hear from you. But yeah, and see, I was telling you before we started the episode, I feel like it's the first time is with this podcast and with Lester's lighting and all that I actually feel more confident in my skin, because before I started the podcast, I didn't share anything on social media for I think the past 2 years before that. Yeah, because the thing is, every time I did, my parents would like my parents, my family, they're always like, hey, you lost weight, hey, you gained weight, hey, you look a little fat in that picture, and so at some point I was like, I am not going to share anything anymore. I plainly stopped, and I had for the longest time like a problem with my image, and now I'm like, no, like my will for doing this is stronger than the hate I have for my body. And also, we were mentioning our partners earlier. Joshua, my husband, he's been so incredible with all that in my journey, because at some point when I first moved here, I was so hard on myself, and I was even like thinner than I am today, but I would always like say that I was fat and that I didn't look good and this and that. And at some point he sat me on the bed and he said, you need to stop.
Good.
And he said, you need to stop because you're disrespecting my love for you and you're disrespecting yourself. And if you don't stop, we cannot keep going, because I don't want to live like that. And so, but hearing that, you know, I was disrespecting him because he said, I love you. Why would you say that? Because when you say that, then you disrespect my love for you. And I was like, I saw it in a complete different light.
Right.
And then when I was pregnant with my son, my husband was also like, hey, our son is going to love you. Yeah. No matter what. So why would you please don't say that, or don't make him even like question like your beauty or even his, because, you know, and so, we're having those really deep conversations sometimes that are necessary because see, that was my trauma growing up too, on top of so many others, but you know, that one of like self-image and weight and like to the point, like I will never forget, like I was a student, one of my student job growing up, I had different ones, but was working at the post office because my dad is a postman in Belgium. But I was working as a student there for like the full like summer 1 year, and then that was right before I went to visit my godfather in Texas, and I gained a lot of weight when I visited my godfather in Texas. When I came back, that was also like kind of when I started my period, and so hormonally, like it was terrible. I gained weight and I became a woman too. Like, you know, it's like, before I was like I had no hips. Right. It's like, and his colleagues told him someday, he came back from work and he was like, my colleagues saw your pictures from Christmas and said that you gained a lot of weight.
Oh my gosh.
I was 18. And I wish, because now I realize how wrong it is.
Yes.
But at the time I was like, oh, I felt so bad. But in my head now I'm like, and you let those grown-ass men talk about your daughter like that? Like,
yes.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah. So, it's like, I feel like, I'm like, I want to try to shift society's view on women's bodies, because also I try to teach my sisters too, like, when they praise those like influencers on social media that take pictures first thing in the morning. Yeah, when you have a flat belly and you're just like looking whatever. And I love like to follow influencers that actually showed them like the before and after eating picture,
right?
Where your belly is not flat after
it's
you
not.
ate and you drank.
Yes.
Because that's just physically not possible. So, it's like, so.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, right? The box that women are put into and the pressures that we're succumb to because of the beauty standards, and unfortunately, it causes insecurities on us. But I think, at least what tries to help me stay out of that mentality is, if I had a daughter, I would not want them to be saying the same things about their body that I'm saying to myself.
Yeah.
So. It's hard. It's like you said, it's easier said than done. But, this is the skin that God gave us. And, it's our temple. And we just have to treat it like one and go from there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming because you look amazing.
Oh,
and
thank you.
Look so confident.
Oh.
And have you always, like, when did the shift happen? Or have you always felt confident? Or what changed for you?
Gosh. I want to say I've always been like this. And I think my mom could, like, again, she could tell you. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was like me being forced to, grow up. But also just my whole thing is like, fake it till you make it. It's like, if you don't believe in yourself, how are you going to ask other people to believe in you? So you have to show up. You have to show up like you believe in yourself. You have to show up like, what you're talking about. And maybe the rest of the people will believe it too.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And your confidence is really showing. And I was not going to dress like this before actually I read your intake form where you were saying that you were all about empowering women and confidence and stuff. And I was like, damn, I love this blouse. And I never wore, I made it. We did like one photo shoot with my husband because before, like, I tried so many things in my life, but I had like a sewing business at some point, and I made tailored clothing, and I wanted to tailor this for people for some reason. I don't know. I just love the design of it. And I made this one for me, and I never wore it. And I read your statement, and I was like, and I just saw it, and I was like, I'm just gonna do it. I don't know if
it'll mean anything to you coming from me, but I think you're beautiful. I think you carry yourself with a lot of empowerment and radiance, and I think you just need to own that, because it's like other people don't see you the way you see yourself. And I think, like I said again, we're our own harshest critics.
Oh yes.
Yes.
It's hard because I love empowering people, especially women. But then when I'm, compliments are being sent to me, I'm always like, okay, let's, what is next on today's list?
And
I can't take it, but.
You know what I learned, and maybe it sounds a little too cocky, but it's like when people compliment you or be like, thank you, or I know. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot. My husband, and it's funny, he just knows my personality. He's like, you look great today. And I'm like, thank you. I know.
Oh, but see, that's insane because it shifts the whole thing. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. So it's like, maybe you have to lie to yourself a little bit, and then you'll start believing your own lie.
I will start, and I'll keep you posted on how it's going. And you do the same if you're in the same boat as us. Thank you so much. I have okay, so we have one last tradition on the show, but before we go there, is there anything that you wanted to share? Anything else you wanted to share with us today?
I think all I would say is, believe in yourself, keep pushing. You know, the world is unfortunately not a fair place. And, you know, don't let your dreams die. You know, push for what you believe, because nobody knows more than yourself what you're capable of. And I feel like a lot of people could relate to this. You know what you're meant for, and you could feel it in your gut. But unfortunately, some people ignore that feeling because of fear. So push, because that gut is there for a reason. And what you think you're capable of doing, you're definitely able to do it.
Nice. I love that. I will let people think on that just for a second, because I just realized that the question I need to ask you is actually on my phone.
Oh, you're fine.
Here we go. So on the show, we have another tradition, and it is that at the end of every episode, I ask my guest to write a question for the next guest without knowing who it's going to be. And so I actually interviewed Joshua Griego yesterday, and his question to you, without knowing that you would be my guest today, is if you could improve one thing about yourself, what would it be and why?
Such a deep one.
Especially after what we just said, I'm like, this is meant to be. It's like nothing.
Nothing. No, there's things. I think one of them would be, believe it or not, you know, the self-doubt, right? It's like that self-doubt. It's like you have to be able to push harder on that. And like, you know, again, preaching to my own self, you know, believe in yourself and, you know, keep pushing and don't let those insecurities take over. Because at the end of the day, no matter how confident a person seems or appears, everybody has their insecurities, you know. And I think one of my, you know, biggest insecurities is not reaching my potential that I know that I'm capable of. I feel like at this point, I'm still young. But maybe once I start, you know, hitting the 40s and, you know, if at that point I haven't reached what I think I'm capable of, I know it's going to be hard. You know, it's going to be hard for me to, you know, get into that realization. Right. So just, you know, push the negative comments out and keep going.
And you know what I wanted to add to that, something that I came to realize not too long ago is, and that's because, so I named my son Jean-Pierre, and his name, I wanted to name him Jean, which is Juan in Spanish, or John in English. But funny enough, Jean here in America is Jean, is a feminine name. And so, yeah, I couldn't, so I was like, I'm not going to do that to him, poor thing. But so his name is Jean-Pierre, but he's named after my great-great-grandfather. And my great-great-grandfather was a really amazing person. He fought in World War I. He was in the artillery, and I have these crazy like 100-year-old pictures of him on the horse and in his uniform. And he had later on in life, he had his own store, and he was how do you say that? He had all those fabrics to make clothes and make like curtains and do the furnitures and stuff. And but all those things I remember about him. The other day it hit me, and I was just thinking, I'm so stressed in my life constantly, and I'm always stressed about bills and like you, I love money too, but I also love like same. I have like, you know, like an Excel sheet, and I love to, you know, see exactly what we're paying for when, and, you know, make sure that everything is right and all that good stuff. But I don't have like a number goal, but I want to be so comfortable that I don't ever have to look at my bank account, and I know I can buy anything without having to worry about paying my bills. And but I was like, all this stress, anxiety, worry, and that just gives me so much pain in my body too, because I have like shoulder pain, I have back pain because of the stress, and I'm like, nobody's going to remember that. Like my great-great-grandchildren, they're never going to remember that I struggled finding my way in life. And you know what I mean? And so I was like, trying to shift all that worry and that stress, thinking about why do I want to be remembered for, and I also want to be remembered as a kind person and caring and podcast host, and you know what I mean, person that was really interested in people and stuff, and so I'm trying to shift my mindset to putting all that stress aside, because no one is gonna remember that in 100 years, and all that stress that right now feels like it's taking all the space actually isn't, or shouldn't, I should say. And so sometimes I get deep into my head into those, like life,
and I think a lot of
stuff,
I don't know if I'm speaking for everybody, but I think the last thing when you're in your deathbed, I don't think anybody will say is, I wish I would have worked more. That is true. I wish I would have had more money. I think the first thing that might come to your head is, I should have spent more time with my family. Yes. I should have, cherished my body more. I should have wore that bathing suit, even if I didn't feel comfortable in it. And I think those are the things, the little regrets that come into your mind. And I think that's something we all have to remind ourselves on the daily. It's like, we're stressed about this job, we're stressed about money, we're stressed about this, but it's like, at the end of the day, is that really going to matter?
Right. And I'm sure my great-great-grandfather was also stressed about stuff in his life, but that's not what you remember. No. And so maybe stop putting the emphasis on that, and start living. Is there anything that you would like to add to your episode today?
No, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to share my story. And, I think you're doing great work by, sharing all these stories and helping people out there. Everybody, we share something similar, right? And sometimes we think we're alone in this world, that we're the only ones dealing with this and carrying this. But no, there's people out there. And no matter, I will emphasize on this, no matter how successful, put together somebody looks in the outside, everybody has a struggle. So never compare yourself to anybody, especially with social media.
And always show a kind heart. And and with everything that's going on right now with immigrants and all that, please, no matter how people look or where they're from or what they do, please show kindness. Please smile. Please be nice. Stop judging and offer your help. Yeah. And even if it's just a thank you, and that's valid for so many different things. It's valid for immigrants. It's valid for veterans. Say thank you for your service. Even when you see an officer, young or old, like, just be kind to people. And let's start living, and let's start being kind to each other. And it doesn't mean that we're weak. It means that we care for each other. And let's make this world better. Let's start. Let's start making this world better. We're human. Yes.
We make mistakes.
Thank you so much for coming today.
No, thank you.
Thank you for being here. And I hope this is the beginning of a long friendship too.
Yes, of course.
And thank you for listening and watching. And I hope you had a great time too. And if you're interested in being part of the podcast and come in and talk to me about your story, please reach out. There is a link in my bio to fill in an intake form. And let's have a conversation. See you next time. Bye-bye.